Welcome in, guys. This is the third and final part of the NBA season preview. We did the Eastern Conference, we did the Western Conference, and here we are doing the awards picks that includes some fun props that we just had to talk about, and just diving a little bit deeper into the season, including our finals picks. This is the tumultuous episode that I am just so excited for. Mike's here on a high off that amazing Blue Jays victory yesterday.
Right.
Mike, I know you're doing well, but I mean, it just doesn't get better than this. Blue Jays in the World Series for you, along with the NBA season starting.
This is my favorite time of year. I think I mentioned this. Mid-October, you get Game 7, come from behind fashion. The Blue Jays get it done. We're in the World Series for the first time in my existence. So I can't believe I'm actually witnessing this right now. It's kind of like I'm on a high and I can't get off of it at this moment in time. And then obviously the NBA season starts tonight. And by the way, you know what stream it starts on? It's NBC. Actually, for the first time in like 20 plus years, we get the NBA back on NBC. So I'm really pumped for that.
Yeah, we haven't been old enough to watch it, which is crazy to think about. All these people are so nostalgic for it. I've never seen it. So
we only know ESPN and TNT, really, for the most part. It's really all we know. But I am pumped to get NBC back. So I just think the presentation, we'll get into it, but I think the presentation has been lacking in the last few years, especially in the finals. We've lost a little bit of lust. I know ESPN still has the finals and whatnot, ABC, but I'm really pumped for NBC. And obviously, I cannot be more pumped for the Blue Jays, who are facing the Avengers, the LA Dodgers in the World Series. That should be fun. I'm just glad we're here. So you can't really tell me anything at this point.
hopefully we'll talk some World Series, particularly if the Blue Jays win, or at least put up a fight here. We can get that on the docket here. But this week is NBA week for us, really. We'll have our Survivor episode on Thursday, but we'll also be reacting to the first full slate of games on tonight, Tuesday, and then Wednesday as well. We were going to go live tonight, and then we were like, but that's only 2 games. Like, let's save it for the entire league.
Right.
Let's see what happens. Maybe someone drops 80 points. Who knows what's going to happen? Maybe there's an injury. There's so much on the table, but we're getting ahead of ourselves here. Let's talk about the award picks, and we're going to start off not with an award, just a prop we really wanted to talk about. We used DraftKings for this, and we just saw something that doesn't necessarily fit any of the categories for traditional awards and maybe wouldn't be brought up throughout our Eastern or Western Conference preview, but we just wanted to talk about it. And I was alerted to this by a good friend, Theo, who told me, look at this Devin Booker prop, because I was talking about how I thought Booker was just going to have an unbelievable statistical year.
He's got to score 60, yeah.
Exactly. Devin Booker, first to score 50 points, is plus 2,500. We talked about it on the Western Conference preview. This Suns team is terrible. Jalen Green is going to miss at least the first week and a half, if not longer. He has a hamstring injury. Those, to me, are super concerning. They tend to re-aggravate very easily. It's one of those soft injuries, quote unquote, where it's just kind of impossible to fully heal. It just kind of lingers until it doesn't anymore. And for an athletic guy like Jalen Green, that could come at any point. It's not something I want to see anyone dealing with at this point in this calendar. And so, therefore, I think Devin Booker might just be chucking 50 shots a game for at least the first month of the season, if not longer. It's going to be his offense. Who else is scoring on this team? I brought up the same point. The second scorer without Jalen Green might be Grayson Allen. Like, it is that big of a drop-off from Booker. So I think Booker will have the volume. I think he'll have the ability. And I don't love the first to score kind of stuff, like the first to do this, the first to do that. I don't really love that, because it's like, okay, who played the Nets first on the calendar? There's always that. Yeah. You mentioned that off camera. There's always stuff like that comes into play, but I just think Booker, it doesn't really matter who he's playing. I think just off volume alone, he could easily get this. Again, plus 2,500 on DraftKings, something I really like, and you had something similar as well.
Yeah, by the way, I was just going to mention, it's like the first to do it is tricky because it just depends on the calendar. I mean, heck, the Hornets play the Nets on opening night on Wednesday. I was like, well, what if LaMelo Ball drops 50 on that?
Yeah, when do we play the Kings, guys? Okay. All right, there we go. Yeah.
By the way, the Suns actually play the Kings on opening night, so you might actually hit
exactly
night one. So, yeah, it's actually a good point. But I'm looking at like that kind of stuff, so it's very tricky. But there's 2 guys. I'm going to pick Jaylen Brown plus 2,000, so 20-1. In this one, I just like the odds here for a Celtics team that, as you know, they're going to chuck up a lot of threes. They're going to play fast. I need a team that plays fast. Like, I was looking at some other teams. I'm like, yeah, they play too slow. So I need teams that are going to go up and down the floor, get a lot of threes off. And again, a team that plays the Nets ideally 3 or 4 times a year. So Boston just fits this category. I went with Jaylen Brown plus 2,000. I also want to shout out Cade Cunningham, also plus 2,000. Again, the Pistons, they lost that. I mean, you mentioned Malik Beasley not here anymore. That's a big deal. They lose a little bit of that scoring. Someone's gonna have to eventually have. I think he'll eventually have a 50 ball. The first to 50 or so is always tricky, but I think eventually these guys are gonna get 50 points just off of pure volume. They're gonna have the ball in their hands a lot. The offense is gonna majority look to them to score the basketball. And I think Jaylen Brown, obviously we know we can fill it up, and without Tatum, this is a no brainer. It just comes down to when do you face the Kings, when do you face the Nets, the Lakers? There's some cones on that team. Eventually, these are all-star players. I mean, we're all picking. I mean, my pick would have probably been Devin Booker for all the things you mentioned. Jalen Green out to start the year, so maybe he just has to get 50 right away. But I like Malawach. I like Mark Williams. I think Dylan Brooks can hit some threes. Grayson Allen. So maybe he won't have to do it all himself. Again, I'm just talking. I have the Suns over. I mean, I have the Suns over.
Malawach is really gonna hurt Devin Booker's bottom line, I'm sure.
Again, we have some point Booker to start the year. We'll see how that goes. Again, I'm on the Suns over, so I have to talk him up a little bit. I mean, I have to hype him up, just a tad.
I think point Booker, where that's just going to look like this year, is Devin Booker just having the ball Russell Westbrook style, like 98% of the time.
Oh, I was going to say
like that's going to be the point Booker experience. It's not necessarily going to be this table setting thing. It's just going to be Booker always has the ball. He might pass it, maybe, if someone's open, but he's just going to control every possession, which for a team like Phoenix that is devoid of talent up and down the roster, not the worst thing in the world when you have a top 10 to 12 player like Devin Booker, who is really in a prove-it season after the debacle that was the Suns last year.
Yeah, you don't love the Suns' talent on that roster at all. I guess I'm a little bit higher on the talent than you are.
No, and I just real quick on this, I don't. I think there's a lot of like fine pieces that are interesting, but as far as just scoring the basketball, they really lack just actual shot makers. Like you're relying on Dylan Brooks, who is one of the streakier players in the NBA. It's one good week, 2 bad weeks with him pretty consistently. Jalen Green, as we mentioned, is going to be out. This is going to be a race, obviously, first to score. So I'm betting on someone doing this the first few weeks of the season because it is the NBA and everyone scores nowadays. Yeah. But Phoenix just seemingly doesn't have a lot of those guys, which is concerning if you're a Suns fan. But for me, who is a Devin Booker guy and has action on this, I tend to like it. But
by the way, I believe our guy Theo mentioned Cam Thomas 50-1 on here, way down there. But again, it's usually these like kind of not role players, but like these guys who just have a green light and a heat check that they're just going to keep shooting. It's usually those guys that score 50. It's like, oh, you look up, it's like, wow, he had 50 points tonight, and it's like he wasn't necessarily like the best player in the game. Like there was some games where Jokic didn't score 50, but like was easily the best player on the floor. And some other guys was like score 50. I'm like, okay, that was nice, but he shot like 35.
No, 100%. We should have the Corey Brewer, the weirdest guy to score 50 this year. Maybe we'll do that sometime.
Yeah, I believe Sadiq Bey had a 50-point game just out of nowhere on like a random.
I think he had
game.
Multiple, right?
Yeah, and then there was another guy for the Raptors. I forget.
Malachi Flynn.
Malachi Flynn. Yeah, thank you. He had a 50-point game. So it's like these guys out of nowhere. So we could be looking way down here on the. By the way, shout out to Caesars for this draft prop, by the way. But I think Booker's a good shot there. Plus 2,500. It just feels like that's too much of a long shot for. I mean, who's scoring the basketball on Phoenix? It's just it's got to be him. Will anyone score 50 on the Suns this year is the problem because like they just can't really get.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like if they just start doubling Booker, which we know he hates, like what's going to happen there?
I don't know.
Yeah, definitely could happen.
Yeah, I think Jaylen Brown with the spacing that Boston plays with. Now again, their front court's terrible. So maybe it won't take as much pressure off.
No, I love that one as well. I think if from a value standpoint, I think that's awesome. Just looking at Brown's ability to get really hot from beyond the arc. He's not a great 3-point shooter, but when he's on, he's really, really on. And without Tatum, that's basically 30 points a game just gone from the lineup, just missing completely. Not to mention the other guys like Holiday and Porzingis as well, also gone. But I think it's mostly the Tatum stuff where Tatum would dominate the ball for large stretches of the game because he was so much better as a creator than anyone else on Boston. Jaylen Brown's going to have to kind of be in that mix now with Derek White and Payton Pritchard. He doesn't really have a choice of the matter without Tatum there and without Holiday. So, yeah, I really like that. But
by the way, you're going to hate, just real quick, you're going to hate me. I was looking at Joel Embiid at plus 9,000 on this.
Oh, yeah, I know.
I know. I was looking at it. I was like, what if he just randomly shows up on a random game? He tends to play just out of nowhere. He's like, oh, he's back. And he drops like 55 points.
Yeah, and sometimes he just doesn't play out of nowhere. That's kind of the Joel Embiid experience.
That's why it's plus 9,000. I totally get it. But I was looking at it.
We're going to start with the most boring one from traditional award standpoint this year anyway, because it's Rookie of the Year, and Cooper Flagg is minus money to win this award at minus 170, again, using DraftKings for the rest of these. Now, and Cooper Flagg, there's really no way he doesn't win this unless he doesn't make the threshold. We talked about this earlier. The problem with Rookie of the Year is it's a combination of hype and team performance. And Cooper Flagg should have both of those. His team should be decent enough. They should be around the play-in, if not like that 6th seed in the West. The Mavs are a solid bunch. And then Cooper Flagg is one of the most hyped prospects of our lifetime. It's really, in no particular order, it's LeBron, it's Wemby, it's Flagg. Those are the top three. I think even like Zion you could toss in there, but I think just Flagg's, we've known this name for like 3 years now.
Yeah.
And we're not really in a society anymore where like East Bay or Ball is Life, those things are that popular at this point. Yeah. So the fact that Flagg was so popular as a high schooler, everyone knew his name, everyone knew who he was at Duke, everyone knew everything about him. He was on a prolific team with the Blue Devils. He could be kind of disappointing. Like he could be 14, 5, and 4, and I think this is still his award to lose. I think that's how much of a clear front runner he is, and that is indicative of the odds. Second place was plus 1,000. So then that's the kind of gap we're looking at right now with Rookie of the Year. And I just wanted to bring this up real fast because people were talking about paths for the like of VJ Edgecombe, Ace Bailey, etc. The reason I wanted to distill this is just look at last season. Stephon Castle was clearly by far the best rookie in the league. I don't think it was that close. No. There was runs at the end of the season from Risa Shea, from Montes Buzelis, and even throughout that, second place for most of the season, if you looked at like the NBA rookie ladder stuff, was Jalen Wells. Why? Because Jalen Wells was on a good basketball team for months at a time until the Grizzlies just couldn't beat competent opponents anymore. But Wells was a good rookie on a good team. That's why he was second. There's this weird notion that good rookies on good teams are better than amazing rookies on terrible teams. It's really strange to me. You're getting drafted to terrible franchises. You shouldn't be expected to win immediately, but for some reason that is baked in. So I just wanted to give that preface where, sure, you could talk me into the likes of like Ace Bailey, Walter Clayton, someone that's going to get a lot of volume on their bad team. Trey Johnson, of course, yeah. But at the end of the day, if they're only winning 18 games, they're going to have to be scoring like 28 points a game or something to be able to eclipse Flagg, who's going to be on a solid team and is going to have all the hype behind him.
Yeah, by the way, they'll have to be like fringe all-stars. I mean, heck, I think 1 year Levine was like a 28 a game and didn't make the all-star game because the Bulls were terrible. Bradley Beal, same thing 1 year. So, no, you're absolutely right. Now, last year's draft class was really, really bad. So, the context there is Castle was way better than a bunch of like let's be real, it's pretty mediocre. I mean, heck, my guy Khalil Ware was top 5 in odds for like most of the year.
Right.
And Khalil Ware was like in the doghouse for like stretches. Like Spo wouldn't play him. He was still like top 5 because he had like these random games with like 20 and 14 and like 5 blocks. It's like, oh, Khalil Ware, first team all rookie. And it's like, no, it was just a really bad class. And Stephon Castle was easily the best rookie. But this year's class, to go back to your point about the gap, I was shocked to see Flagg minus money, even though I really shouldn't be. He's that good. But I just figured because it's such a good draft class. I mean, we like Dylan Harper a lot. By the way, Dylan Harper's also on like a frisky, pretty good Spurs team. Trey Johnson, like he can fill it up. I get the Washington Wizards are terrible, but like there's some good rookies in this class. A lot of people like Ace Bailey. I know me and you both like Honka Nipple. There's guys at the end of the lottery that we really liked. I mean, there's guys who went after the lottery that we really liked. I'll get into that as my dark horse. But I mean, Cooper Flagg is the obvious choice here. The Mavs are going to be really. The Mavs should be good. At least defensively, they should be really good. And then obviously the ball's going to be in his hands a lot. We already mentioned Jason Kidd's going to have some stretches of him running point guard with these big lineups. We see the Rockets going to do that tonight. We'll get our first look of this big ball experiment tonight when the Rockets roll out a 6-7 plus lineup. But Cooper Flagg is going to be playing with a lot of size. Again, kind of similar to what he played with at Duke. And he was obviously phenomenal. Had a great year last year at Duke. Won the National Player of the Year. As a freshman, which rarely happens. I mean, we thought it was going to be Janai Broom. But either way, to get back to Flagg, I mean, Flagg minus 170. Maybe the value isn't there because he is minus money in a great draft class. But I'm with you. I don't really see the path for like an Edgecombe unless everyone on Philly stays healthy and he's like an integral part of their team and he's like really helping them like lead the way. I'm thinking about like a Donovan Mitchell in Utah that first year. He was a rookie and the Jazz were like a sneaky 5 seed.
But Mike, even on a healthy team, presumably if they're healthy, as you mentioned, it'd be Joel Embiid's first on the ladder. Then it's Maxey second on the ladder. Then it's Paul George third on the ladder. Then it's Jared McCain fourth on the ladder. And then at best, it's VJ Edgecombe fifth. That's why I don't even know the path for Edgecombe.
It's not great.
Is it going to be like two of those guys get hurt, but somehow they stay afloat. It's so
He'd have
weird.
to be that good. Yeah, to where one of them
It's reliant on so many
yeah.
other people. And you had this idea, and I loved it. So we both have Flag. That's not a surprise from either of us.
Right.
But we wanted to not just be chalk this entire time. So we created the dark horse category for each of these awards as well. And there's not really a qualification for this, just someone that's further down the board that no one would really think about for this award that we think has at least a dart throw of a chance to make some noise for this award. So for me, this is a guy that we've been obsessed with for months now.
Yes.
We were so obsessed with him. His name changed on us. I don't think that's ever happened before watching sports. Yeah. He is the artist formerly known as Yang Hansen, now Hansen Yang, the Trailblazer center. I don't think it's a gimmick just to get into the Chinese market. I understand why people are throwing out those allegations because clearly he has this youth movement amongst them where he's popular on like TikTok and Instagram and stuff. Yeah. That's not why we liked him. We just saw him on a draft board and someone kind of notified us like, hey, like watch this guy. And we're like, wait a sec, what is going on here? This is basically Chinese Jokic.
Yeah.
I think this guy can play. Now, is he going to be able to stay kind of up to speed with an NBA-style defense? Is he going to be able to move his feet in enough of a manner that he's going to be on the court for long stretches? Because I think at times watching his tape, that was a concern for me.
Yeah.
If he's playing next to Klingon and they're running a too-big lineup, I care about it a little bit less. If he's running a true five, then it's more of a concern. But without Ayton in the building and with Time Lord's injury concerns, I think Yang's going to play a decent amount. And we both are a little bit bullish on Portland. We think they can at least win like 36-ish games, somewhere around there. Yeah. So I think his team can be competent enough. And if he can put up some decent counting stats, which who knows with him, he's a center, so some of his numbers could look a little gaudy. If he's around like, we'll call it 12-7, I think his name will at least be in the ring for this. So yeah. I'm going with Hansen Yang, a.k.a. Yang Hansen, a.k.a. we had this guy being better before he was even a meme on the internet. Yeah. I have him as my crazy dark horse, plus 4,000.
Yeah, plus 4,000. By the way, I think it switched back to Yang Hansen again. I think it's Yang Hansen now. I don't know.
Where are we with this? Like it
switched like 5 times.
It switched multiple times. We looked it up. What's going on? I remember, I believe his agent's Rich Paul. Yeah. He was calling him one name. The draft is calling him another. Whatever version of Hansen Yang / Yang Hansen it is, it does not matter because he's a baller, and I think he's going to have a solid rookie season.
By the way, I think that the popularity actually bodes well for you because people already love him. Again, not for the same reasons that we do. But
no, I think you're right because with these kind of awards, the hype really helps.
Yes,
really helps you.
Yeah, and by the way, it just takes a few moments. Like if we're watching like a late night Portland game and he has like a wow moment, he could still be a turnstile on defense. But the voters are saying, wait a second, look at this Yang Hansen kid or Hansen Yang, whichever one. He's making some plays, making some wow plays.
We're just gonna call him Yang Mike. He's just Yang now.
He's Yang. So if he has these like Chinese Jokic like spurts, it's just like, whoa, where was that? Like look at that play on the baseline. But it's like he could have those kind of spurts and get his way into like these. I mean, look, these are all dart throws. But like if you looked up at the end of the year and was like, Yang Hansen Yang is a first team all rookie. Would you be shocked? Really? I mean, like it's a. I mean, look.
No, and I think he was plus 900 for that. That was something else I was looking at because again, without the position requirements for some of these awards, we like this draft class, but who knows? Like I think a lot of voters still try to put, 2 guards, 2 forwards, and a center in their voting, especially a lot of the older people that are just kind of used to that. So if you look at the center class. It's not great. Yeah, it's not really great. It's Malawach. It's Yang. Yep. It's Queen. It's Big Max. That's kind of your 4.
Yeah.
So you can maybe get lucky with one of those underneath guys just coming out and emerging.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. Mine was also a little bit down on the board there after the lottery here. I got him at plus 5,000 according to DraftKings. It's Kasparas Jakučiūnas. So I'm going with the Heat guy. I always have to go with the Heat guy. Again, but again, you can scoff, but let's be real here. As much as we clown on the Heat, what they do well is they do develop young talent. I mean, look, last year, Kel'el Ware, obviously notably did not have a high motor, and yet there would be some spurts where it's like, hey, he's trying, and he obviously has all the talent in the world. I think Jakučiūnas was a guy we both thought would go higher in the draft, and he did. He kind of fell a little bit. I don't know if it was injury concerns or what. But the Heat really needed a point guard. I mean, they really did not have a point guard last year. It was a lot of Tyler Hero at point, and Davion Mitchell off night was kind of coming in and doing the point guard duties at times. But they really needed a point guard. They needed a guy who can shoot the ball. And Jakučiūnas is he could be on a few. He can go a few stretches with go on a heater as far as 3 points. I mean, if you watch Summer League, he had a few games just like, oh, Jakučiūnas, this 3-ball's working now. So if that happens and the Heat are floating around 500 again like they always do, I mean the one thing you can say is the Heat do know how to develop young talent, and I think he's a guy that I just can see sparking some fast breaks, making some lobs to Adebayo and Kalel, where like the talent is there a little bit for him to kind of ease his way into it. Obviously, you don't want to start a point guard right away unless you're maybe the Pelicans with Jeremiah Fears. But like usually you want to ease these point guards into these like massive roles. And I think that he has a chance to kind of, second half of the year, you look up, it's like, hey, Jakučiūnas is playing better ball. Obviously Tyler Hero's out for the first majority, maybe 30, 40 games of the year. So you can get him in some nice roles. I think Spo likes him a lot. I really do. And I like him a lot as a player. I think we both liked him more than what he went 20 in the draft. I mean, I think I had him as
and I was so upset because I thought the Celtics had a chance at him when he was sliding, and I had him, I believe, as top 15 guy, if not a little bit higher. I can't remember off the top of my head, but I was pretty bullish on him. I just thought he could shoot the leather off the basketball, and I liked his movement as well, and I thought the defensive concerns were a little bit overblown. I think that tends to happen sometimes with some of these foreign guys where for some reason the white American gets a pass for being a turnstile on defense, but the white European, all of a sudden it's a problem now.
Sure.
That's just kind of a societal thing with basketball, but I think that's a real thing, and I like his ability to fit into this Heat team that needs shooting. They need what he brings. Outside of Powell, with Hero on the shelf, Kasparis is probably the second best shooter. Is that wrong to say?
No, it's not wrong. By the way, they also need playmaking. This team has had no playmaking for a while now. Butler was kind of the playmaker of the offense. He's a really good passer, Jakučiūnas. Like, I don't know. We really don't know how to project the shooting for rookies out of the gate. We don't really know how they'll translate.
Yeah, it's kind of all over the board.
Yeah, so who knows how well these guys are going to shoot off the board as rookies. But one thing that will absolutely translate for sure for Kasparis Jakučiūnas is he's an awesome passer. He sees the floor really well. I do think that's like matured beyond his years. So I think that as far as like a rookie that you can just kind of pencil in, he'll be a really good passer. He'll be a good floor spacer. I think that will legitimately translate. And if the shot is there, which again, you mentioned, he can shoot the leather off the ball. We watched him at Illinois last year. We like how he moves lateral. Like I think he's a really good player. I think he's a high floor player for a Heat team that kind of knows how to develop these kind of players. Like it's a shot in the dark. But if you looked up at in February and Jakučiūnas was like on a short list of like top 6 odds to win Rookie of the Year, would you be shocked? Really? I really wouldn't. I really wouldn't be shocked.
And the Heat, if nothing else, can at least be like a play-in threat, right? If they're somehow the 6th team in the East, then all of a sudden you're looking at his impact a little bit differently.
They're not the Wizards, right? Exactly.
No,
of course, yeah. So I do like that pick, but like you mentioned, like the Trey Johnsons of the world. I know we like Danny Wolf, but the Nets aren't going to win 20 games. So there's some guys where you really there's really no path. Unless they just like average 29 points a game, which is, not something that I'll be betting on.
Yeah. And speaking of not betting on, I kind of hate this award, the 6th man of the year. And the reason I hate it, even though my guy just won it, Peyton Pritchard, he's the reigning 6th man of the year. But the reason I dislike this is because, especially now, a lot of these 6 men, if they're really, really good, they end up just starting. So what happens is you have this weird situation where, the Knicks need scoring. Jordan Clarkson, you're in the starting lineup now. And then all of a sudden, they're no longer the 6th man of the year. And that doesn't happen a ton with like the perennial guys. Right. But when you're trying to kind of go off the board a little bit, it's definitely a concern. I remember I picked Mathurin, and then all of a sudden Mathurin was just starting. I don't remember if that was 2 years ago or last year. I knew he dealt with some injury issues both of those years, but regardless, it's just stuff like that where some of these, especially young guys, if you want to take a bet on them, if they play well enough off the bench, they're just inserted in the starting lineup. So that tends to get a little bit annoying. But my perennial pick right now is the basic one. It was the favorite as of a few weeks ago. He's now 2nd for the award. It's Naz Reid. It's Big Jelly himself. I just think there's no real path for Naz to start on the Timberwolves, so I like that. It's pretty clearly the front court is going to be Randall and Gobert, and then you're going to have McDaniels in the middle there. So Naz is stuck as being the super sub 6th man where he plays starter minutes a lot, but he comes off the bench. That's just how it is. So looking at this and looking at the landscape, I trust him being on the bench probably more than a lot of these other big names, and I just trust his ability. I thought last year he wasn't necessarily the peak of his powers. I thought he took maybe a half step backwards, like a lot of the other Timberwolves did. But I really think that this Minnesota team, DiVincenzo, Dillingham, and Reid, that core three, two of those guys are probably going to pop again. I think this Wolves team is set up to win right now and be really competitive in the West. And I have a lot of faith in Big Jelly Naz.
Yeah, I think that's the exact kind of guy who would win this award. He knows his role already. You know he's coming off the bench. There's no battle in the front court of if he plays well enough, he'll supersede Julius Randle. It's nah, not really, not with the contract and not with that trade that they made. So he knows his role and he's really good. He's a six man who plays starter minutes. So it's a perfect situation for this guy can get the numbers to win a six man of the year. He's obviously won it already. Didn't win it last year, but he's won the award already. So I'm probably gonna end up taking Naz Reid as well. I did want to shout out Tari Eason. He's plus 1,800, the sixth shortest odds according to DraftKings. Again, I just got to find out one of these young Rockets guys have to pop.
You would think,
right? I mean, they did trade Jalen Green, so maybe now we're looking at Jabari, Reed Shepard, Tari Eason. One of these young guys, obviously Jabari's a starter. Reed Shepard and Tari Eason are not as of this moment. So one of these guys has to pop. I like Tari Eason a lot. I've liked him for a few years now. I know Ime Udoka likes him a lot. And if the Rockets are good, it's kind of semantics too. Same thing with the Wolves, who are going to be good. If you're a good team, the Celtics were awesome last year, and that really helped Peyton Pritchard's case. If you're good and you're making an impact for your really good team, I think that you have a legitimate shot. So, I mean, I am going to go with Naz Reid, but I think Tari Eason has a shot at plus 1,800. And I did want to float out a dark horse here. Our guy, Obi Toppin. I mean, not because...
Ain't no stopping.
Right, exactly. Not because we necessarily love Obi Toppin, but the Pacers, someone's going to shoot the ball now. And I think he honestly relishes that, Miles Turner role. It's okay, no more Miles Turner. I don't really care. Let me get all the touches now. Let me go do 360 dunks. Let me be more active. This might just be an awesome Obi Toppin year, just fun league pass. Oh, look at what Obi Toppin's doing. And he's got 20.7 rebounds, 6 assists. It's look. I mean, hey, it could happen. I wouldn't put it past.
It's empty calories at times, but I think he's so fun, and he seemingly really wants to shoot more. That was prevalent throughout the playoffs. He wants to be kind of this inside-outside threat where he can spray beyond the perimeter, but he's also this lob threat. Yeah. And he's just trying to be a modern forward. I respect it. But again, with some of these awards, it doesn't really matter how empty the calories are as long as they're putting up numbers and it's fun and they kind of have a media backing. Yeah,
Malik Monk did it for a few years on a play-in team. I think obviously Toppin's a guy that if he gets a corner three, the green light's on. He's shooting it. He likes working those baseline alley-oop dunks. Now, without Halliburton, it's going to be really tough to get going. But I think the Pacers are really a fascinating watch, and I think he might just be you know what? Him, Mathurin, McConnell, Nembhard, they might just all just be let me just take over a game. Let me take over a 10-minute stretch in a game. So maybe there's something like there for 6 man of the year, but 6 man of the year, it's really gross. It's honestly, it's really not. I wouldn't want to bet on any of these guys because, like you said, they could just play their way into starters, and it's not really worth it. I think Naz Reid is the play at plus 1,200. He is the second shortest odds at plus 1,200. But I mean, we love Naz Reid. He's going to be really, really focal for that Timberwolves bench unit.
The only thing I liked in this entire category is my dark horse pick, purely off value, which was Tim Hardaway Jr. Yeah, I think Denver is going to have a massive year. At worst, I think they'll be third in the West. I think they're that talented. If they can win 55, 56 games, be a regular season juggernaut, and have Tim Hardaway be the sixth man that they desperately needed, it's kind of been an open audition in the last few years who can be the Nugget sixth man. Right. And they really haven't been able to find anyone consistent. Even last year, it was clearly so hilarious watching them because the Westbrook thing was out of pure desperation. They didn't necessarily want him in that role. It was very obvious throughout Michael Malone's last days with the team that he was playing Westbrook so much just because they needed someone else. Yeah. And now they have superior depth in comparison. And Tim Hardaway Jr. is part of that. And I think he's going to have the green light off the bench. They've really needed a prominent scorer in that position. Yeah. So I think at plus 9,000 on a great team, I thought that was really a miss by DraftKings odds. And then here's a bigger miss, though. And this one's really upset me. And I've talked about it a few times in our group chat.
Yeah.
Trey Mann is off the board. You can't even bet on him. Unless I'm missing something here. Maybe a different book you can find him, I'm sure. He's not even on the board. You can get Stephon Castle's MVP odds on DraftKings. but you cannot get Trey Man's 6th man of the year odds. And if you're wondering why this is so blasphemous to me, it's because for the first 6 to 8 weeks of last year, Trey Man was really good for Charlotte. He was their 6th man. He was playing starter minutes for them. Again, another guy that it doesn't really work if you start him because LaMelo's such a catastrophe on defense. You can't have two of those guys. It's going to be LaMelo, Con, and Brandon Miller as their first 3 guys.
Yeah.
But Trey Mann is going to be impactful off the bench. I know he's dealing with a hip injury. I don't really care. If he's healthy and if he's playing, he's going to put up gaudy numbers like he was. If you go back and look at some of the odds and some of the metrics early last season, it was Pritchard and then it was Mann and 6th man of the year stuff until Mann again went down. So to have that guy not on the board is insane. I think, again, he was really popping in his brief time with Charlotte. If he can come back and do more of the same, he's going to be top 3, top 4 for this just because of his opportunity share on that Charlotte team. So I would definitely, if there's a book out there, if you can DM someone at DraftKings, whatever it may be, I would run to your nearest bookie and try to get Trey Mann odds for 6th man of the year.
Well, you know who is on the board? Not Trey Mann, but you know who is on the board for the Charlotte Hornets? It's Colin Sexton. He's on the board. So maybe he pushed our guy Trey Mann off.
Yeah, the board. Maybe they think Sexton is rising to that role. Yeah, maybe.
And by the way, to go back to your Tim Hardaway Jr. point real quick, plus 9,000 tells you that the odds don't even know who Denver's 6th man is. They're just like, No,
but Mike, look at the guys he's behind. He's behind Chris Boucher, who I think is going to end up being a starter for Boston. He's behind Pods, who was like offensively bad for most of last year for Golden State. He's behind Gabe Vincent, who hasn't been relevant in 2.5 years. He's behind Lonzo Ball, who was genuinely bad for Chicago. But again, I think people are giving him a break because of how long he was out for. So I think people just think Lonzo's going to kind of revert back to what he was with New Orleans, what seems like 5 years ago at this point.
I think it was.
So, yeah. So I think that's kind of ridiculous. Terrence Shannon, who I really like, but is he going to win 6th man of the year? I don't know. He's behind all of these guys. I just think that's unbelievable value.
First of all, Terrence Shannon winning 6th man of the year would mean that he had to be better than Naz Reid on his own team and Dillingham.
And Rob Dillingham.
And Dillingham. Yeah, that would be it. Like I'm not betting on that. So yeah, I mean, I think plus 9,000 is definitely worth it. Plus, he's playing with Nikola Jokic. That almost always helps. You saw what
you think? Yeah, his shot
when he left Nikola Jokic. I mean, my gosh,
his shot share is going to be definitely better. And I made the joke 100 times last year, and I've said it on this podcast. Malik Beasley / Tim Hardaway Jr., whoever was on for those guys for Detroit last year on any given night, was the top 10 player in the league. Like, look at the numbers. It was insane. It felt like every game, one of those guys was scoring an efficient 25 and swinging the outcome of a contest. So, again, he doesn't have Beasley to kind of take some of that pressure off him, but he has Nikola Jokic, so I think he's going to do just fine.
Yeah, he'll be just fine. Should we go to Defensive Player of the Year?
I think we should, because this is a fun one, because Wemby is minus money and minus 175, and if Wemby meets the threshold,
he's going to win the award.
Just hand him the award now. Here's the problem. Wemby apparently grew 2 more inches this offseason. I don't know if you saw that. He's
like 7.
We're anywhere from 7'5" to 7'7" with this guy at this point.
Mm-hmm.
To me, what I hear when I see that is just more injury risk. That's all I see. And again, there's all that stuff from Wemby when he was coming out of the draft that he's been preparing for this moment his entire life. He handles himself differently than all these other 7-footers. I get that, but he's been hurt since entering the league. He's still an injury risk. And part of that was, again, probably them shutting him down a little bit, being cautious because San Antonio necessarily wasn't going anywhere. Now they have expectations. Could he play through some of those lingering injuries? I don't know.
Right.
I'm going to take him because I feel like if you don't take him and he wins it, you'll feel like a dope.
Totally.
But at the same time, how much of a favorite he is a little bit ridiculous given the injury risk. And given the fact that there is a threshold on these awards now, because I think in prior years, he was probably going to win this award last year, even with the amount of games he missed. But because he didn't reach the threshold, he wasn't eligible. Okay, whatever. But it's a tough benchmark for a guy that isn't really suited to reach it. He's 7'5" to 7. It's tough to play 65 games in the NBA. It just is. Yeah. But it's Victor Wembanyama. I think one of these years he's going to stay healthy and he's going to be a shoo-in for this award. I'm going to choose to believe it's this year.
Yeah, and by the way, he also had the blood clot thing that he was also dealing with.
Which had nothing to do with his height or any of that. No.
Yeah, but now he is, again, probably 2 inches taller, which, I think that's probably is more injury red flags than anything. But if he stays healthy, it's his award for sure. I'm just going to be fun here. I'm going to bet on Dyson Daniels, who I think should have won it last year. And I'm just going to go back to the well. I think Evan Mobley won it last year. And I thought it should have won Dyson Daniels. It obviously would have gone to Wemby had he met the threshold. I mean, the only reason why Draymond Green was in the finalist panel was because Wemby didn't meet the threshold. So I was like,
such a media campaign. That was nonsense.
Yeah, why is he a finalist? But no, I thought Dyson Daniels plus 2,200 fifth shortest odds. I like those odds because I don't think there's 4 better defenders in the league. Now, again, rim protection, huge. Usually it goes to those guys. No doubt about it. I get that. But I think Dyson Daniels, if Atlanta is like a really awesome defensive team, he's like, again, suffocating guys on the perimeter like he did last year. I mean, it would be hard for me to not give the award to him, assuming Wemby doesn't meet the threshold, which is what I'm betting on in this case.
And as I think I brought up on one of the preview pods, I understand why these rim protectors get the award more often because there's just more plays at the rim. But the league is so perimeter based, it is technically harder to be a great defender on the perimeter than it is to just kind of stand there and swat shots. Yeah. So therefore, I think we kind of saw the tide turn a little bit when Smart won the award. I think it was starting to turn last year with Daniels' ascension as well. I think we're going to get to a point where we're going to see some of these perimeter guys win the awards. It's not necessarily baked into the odds yet, and that's why I like it so much.
Yeah.
I just wanted to bring up, neither of us had him, Jalen Suggs plus 5,000. I think he fits that mold.
Yeah.
Is a similar caliber defender of Dyson Daniels. Maybe not as explosive with the steals and whatnot, but just the raw intensity that he brings. I think there's something there. But we have the same dark horse, which isn't surprising for us. No. It's Azor Thompson, not Amen. It's Azor. I think he's slightly better defender. I think he has better versatility. I know he really struggled with Jalen Brunson in the playoffs, but that's a guy that is tough to defend for the best players in the league.
Also tough to officiate.
He's impossible to officiate. That's what I was getting to. And C, he's just significantly quicker. Brunson's a small, quick guy, not necessarily like the best matchup for an Azor, but I think he has versatility. He can defend guards. He can defend swing forwards. I think he really just has an impact. He's going to see an uptick in minutes. I think that's fairly obvious without Beasley and Hardaway in the equation. I think this is Azor's year. Can he become anything on offense? I don't know. I want to see that first before I believe it. But his defensive intensity and his ability, if Detroit really is like this throwback team and is able to kind of keep their place in the East, be anywhere from a 4 to 6 seed, I think there could be buzz for him for this award.
Oh, I think that for sure, if one of the Thompson twins becomes like a, lockdown all NBA defender, I do think it would be Azar Thompson. But to go back to the Brunson point, that was a really tough series for him for a multitude of reasons. There was a lot of Brunson, drawing fouls where he really did use his smaller stature to kind of like, bait fouls.
It's the Brunson experience. Yeah.
Yeah. And by the way, Azar was picking him up, full court, and he was kind of getting, picked up with some ticky-tack fouls. But either way, I think there could be, this is an ascension bet really, because there's a world where he literally takes off and it becomes like an all-world defender. Right now we kind of know he's a good defender, but like the Pistons may need him to be like an all-world defender. And if he is, he's certainly live for this. He's plus 6,000. That's 12 shortest odds, tied for 12 shortest odds. You know who was ahead of him? SGA also had plus 6,000 odds.
Do you know why?
Is it because the Thunder is going to be awesome defensively and he's going to be
No, it's literally just steals. He's like a really high steal guy. He does that kind of poke from behind thing.
And I think all series
I think it's one of those things where people look. SGA is a solid defender. He tries enough for a star player. He's not the same caliber of any of these guys. It's ridiculous. Like, we have to go beyond steals and blocks for this award. It was the stuff with cleaning the glass and guys like Zach Lowe, the super analytics guys, when your guy Hassan Whiteside was just swatting 4 or 5 shots a night.
Yeah,
but in reality, what he was actually doing was kind of leaving his assignment to go chase a block. Right. And he was a liability at points on defense because he was going and getting baited so easily. It's the same thing with Jay. Just because he's poking from a guy from behind, you know what he's also doing? Allowing that guy to go behind him. And that's fine when you have guys like Alex Caruso and J-Dub and Lou Dort on your team. He gets away with it, but God forbid one of those guys misses times and then all of a sudden Shea's the reason why these guards are lighting up Oklahoma City.
But I almost think that like last year I saw in the finals, like Halliburton would get by him and SGA would just kind of strip him, as he's getting to the rim. And again,
he's really good at getting his hand on the ball. That's where he excels.
When a guy is behind him for sure, like he'll let a guy almost. I'm not saying he's allowing them to blow by him, but it's almost like you can do that when you have these twin towers inside.
It's much easier. Yeah, you can gamble. It's a gamble defensively. You can gamble much easier when you have those. Yeah. That infrastructure behind you. It's a little bit ridiculous that he's here, though. You know this? And look, I understand there's fatigue with this guy, but Shea and Rudy Gobert have the same odds? What?
I know. Maybe it's just like they can't give Gobert any more awards. That's the only thing. That's the only thing I can think of with that being the exact same line.
I guess that there's part of me that understands that. But even like Giannis plus 6,000.
I know. Like there's. I know that this when I saw the odds for this award, I was very shocked that some guys had the same odds as other guys.
It feels like more so than even sixth man. After you go from the Wemby, Chet, Mobley, Dyson Daniels,
they don't even know after that.
They have no idea. They as in Vegas, they just have no idea what's going on, who's really eligible for this. I test drove Zoo at plus 6,000, but. I just couldn't really get there. This is one that we've spent too much time on because it's such a crapshoot. Like, it's one of those where it's usually just a guy on a really good team that has a good reputation for being a solid defender, whether that emerges early in the season or if that's just kind of compounded from his entire career. It's really just whoever ESPN's talking about that given year.
And by the way, the Cavs won like 65 games last year, and obviously Mobley was the focal point for that rim protection, that double big lineup that they did. So he wins it. That's kind of the mold of defenders. When Marcus Smart won at Boston was like the number one defense.
Even then, Marcus Smart wasn't the best defender on his team. It was clearly Time Lord who was kind of starting that revolution for Boston defensively, but he was ineligible. So they were like, okay, next best guy, Marcus Smart, who was kind of iffy against faster guards. So there were some people around Boston that were like, oh, I mean, awesome, because he's Mr. Celtic. But, have you seen him against some of these faster guards?
He's on the finals. He's on the finals, obviously.
It's just kind of how it goes. But here's a fun one, I guess. Coach of the Year, where, again, we've lost the plot of what this actually means. It's never really been the best coach in the league. It's kind of, who's the coach on the team that either exceeds expectations or is just a darling media-wise and perception-wise?
Yes.
So that's why I went Mike Brown, because if he has the Knicks as the 1 or the 2 seed in the East, he's the coach of the Knicks. He's going to get a lot of love. And guess what? He's not Tom Thibodeau. So as long as it looks good from the Knicks standpoint, they're not kind of faltering behind the likes of Philly, Boston of the past, of course, Cleveland as well. If they're kind of firmly 1B at absolute worst, they're kind of like second to Cleveland by like a game or two, where it doesn't really matter at that point. I think Mike Brown's going to be a shoo-in for this. Plus 1,500. I loved those odds. Just the newness of them. Yeah. And just the fact that the Knicks could easily win like 58 games just because how terrible the East is. Like that's definitely in play. The fact that I got him at 6th best odds, I just love that so much.
That's wild to me. Yeah, by the way, this is a media-driven award. Anything that's... If the Knicks are awesome, which they should be in how we mentioned how bad the Eastern Conference is, the media is going to sing Mike Brown's praises like no one else. I mean,
it's going to be ridiculous. It's going to be in your face. It's going to be, here's the difference between Mike Brown and Tibbs. It's going to be, look at the offensive efficiency, look at the minutes played, look at the happiness of this team. Yes. Look at the vibes in the Garden. It might not be that much different from an actual basketball standpoint, from wins and losses, purely that. But you might just see enough of like an offensive efficiency tick up or just a happiness tick up, whatever it might be, where all of a sudden the vibes are just better with Mike Brown, and that's all it takes for him to win this.
It's literally going to be, it might be the exact same thing, but the media narratives will be, here's why the Knicks can now win a championship, and it's because of Mike Brown.
Exactly.
It's going to be that kind of rhetoric, which is why I love his like. I didn't take him because I think that I went a similar route though. It's pretty new. David Adelman only coached 5 games in the regular season last year.
Yeah.
And he is now the interim tag is ripped off. He's got a little bit worse odds than Mike Brown. I believe he's actually plus 1,500. So they have the exact same odds. David Adelman and Mike Brown. They're both 1,500. I just think that Denver's awesome this year. And let's just say that they win 60 games. And let's just say the Denver Nuggets take the regular season seriously for the first time since 2023 when they won the title that year. And they won 1 seed. They had the home court at the playoffs. Let's say they do that. If they do that, you can see a world where David Adelman gets the credit. I mean, we aren't really looking at a landscape. Yeah, like the league right now isn't really, unless you think that someone's going to, improve their win total by 20 games, like the Pistons did last year. Like, unless you think that's going to happen, it could just be which coach is on a regular season team that wins 60 games. Like, if OKC wins 60 games, Dagnall's not going to win the award again because they already did that. Like, it's like been there, done that kind of thing. The Nuggets have not really been a regular season darling the last couple seasons. They really have not been. They've been a 4 seed, a 3 seed. Like, they haven't really been at the top of the West here in a minute. So if they're able to win 60 games and Jokic again win MVP and the offense looks clicking again, the defense gets better, and the interim tag is now ripped off, it's going to be a lot of, well, here's why now they're better than they were with Michael Malone. David Adelman might get all the credit. So it might be another media thing where it's like, we love Denver. We obviously can't talk enough about Jokic, but it might be they're even better now than they were when they won the title, and that's because of David Adelman. It could be that kind of media bias narrative, which could get him the award if Denver's awesome, which I think we both believe that Denver's going to be really, really good. So 15-1, I like that. I was looking at the favorites for this award, by the way, I believe are Jamal Mosley and Quinn Snyder, who are the trendy East teams to be way better than they were last year. Like, I believe Orlando was the 7 seed last year. Atlanta was the 9 seed. If those are like top 3 or 4 seeds in the Eastern Conference, you can see why those guys would be favored.
Mike, do you think you deserve to be the favorite for coach of the year when your coaching was part of the reason your team wasn't great last year? I think that's very bizarre to me. And obviously you had the injury to Suggs. You had just kind of the weird Franz season where he couldn't really shoot anymore. There's a lot of odd stuff in Orlando. But this idea that Jamal Mosley was a great coach for them was insane to me. I thought his offensive system was abysmal. Yeah. And again, it's his offensive system. It's his fault. If he was maybe a better coach, perhaps that would be different.
Oh, their offense was a nightmare to watch last year. It was embarrassing.
It was terrible. And even like Ime Udoka, like what really are the Rockets going to be doing much differently than last year? They have Durant, but they lost Van Vliet. They're supposed to be a little bit better. They're a young team. He's tied for 3rd with JB Bickerstaff. It's just, again, one of these awards where you look at it and you're like, you're just trying to point the narrative, but at the same time, where are the narratives coming from for some of these guys? Like, how are you coming to this conclusion that Ime Udoka is tied for 3rd for this award?
Yeah, by the way, none of these guys are the best coaches in the NBA. We can both agree. Everyone that you just listed here, like, I love JB Bickerstaff, but like, if Bickerstaff's going to win the award, he would have won it last year.
I'm a Quinn Snyder guy.
Yeah, you are.
So there's that. But outside of like the top 8, or at least the top 6, if you look at it, like Mitch Johnson, question mark. Mm-hmm. Mike Brown, like he was fired from the Kings for a reason
9 months ago.
Yeah. And then if you go beyond that, then it gets a little bit better. Then you're in like the Joe Maz tier, you're in the Spoelstra tier, you're in the Tyronn Lue tier. Like, okay,
Steve Kerr, like, those are actual good coaches. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. My dark horse is way beneath all of those guys, and this is a familiar name. And you talked about this is really geared for an Eastern Conference team to just improve on their win total.
By a lot.
Then why is Doc Rivers plus 5,000? And I understand there's a massive bias towards Doc Rivers that he's the schmuck head coach that kind of falls upwards all the time, that is kind of inept, but he played for a while and he's coached for a while. So he's just kind of in the NBA ecosystem. He's just there. He has to be coaching a team. He is Doc Rivers. He's synonymous with coaching. But what if Milwaukee wins like 50 games? Maybe it's my problem for thinking that the Bucks are terrible. So if they overexceed my expectations, they should be exceeding everyone's expectations. So that's part of the issue here. But at the same time, if Milwaukee's the 3rd seed in the East, this roster's not that good. Do we really like have to penalize them for having Giannis and Turner on their team? Which again, they should win games with those guys. But
of course,
like,
it's
seriously,
not a top 3 roster. Right.
Plus 5,000. This roster stinks, in my opinion, and there's a chance that there are 3 or 4 seed in the East literally solely off Giannis, but someone else has to get credit. So why can't it be Doc? I guess is my pitch there.
I think it's a good pitch. By the way, it's Giannis and shooters, and this is not a roster that should be top 3 in anything. It really shouldn't. but you have the best player in the conference. You have shooting around him. You now have a front court.
I believe they're the best shooting team by percentage last year, right?
Yeah.
And now if they're just able to increase that tick in volume, you could say, okay, Doc saw what they were good at. He's found a way to kind of complement Giannis the best way they could. They're a three-point shooting team. They're inside out. They kind of pound with Turner and Giannis down low, and then they have shooting to kind of go throughout the rest of the roster. And all of a sudden, this is a 52-win team.
And by the way, Giannis now has a front court mate that isn't Brook Lopez. So that's a benefit in itself. And also now, again, Doc could also get the credit. Talk about media-wise, he could get the credit for let's say they're a really good offensive team. He could get the credit for replacing Dame's offense, which they're now obviously losing because he's out for the year and he's not even on the team anymore. He's in Portland. He could get the credit for that. If Milwaukee's able to make up that discrepancy of points that they didn't even replace Dame really. Like he left. They had to cut him. Literally, they had to cut him to get Miles Turner. So they didn't replace him as far as a ball handler and as far as a three-point shooter. They didn't replace him at all. And if they're able to kind of replace Dame in the aggregate, so to speak, to use a Moneyball term, Doc could get the credit for that. Like he genuinely could. Like I know we don't really give Doc credit for anything. We think he's this absolute bum who just falls on his face. But
we probably shouldn't. But I at least think in this rare situation, especially we all have the Knicks earmarked as top 2 team along with the Cavs.
Yeah.
Would it be crazy if one of those two teams fell out? I would think it's nuts if the Knicks did somehow. But Cleveland, they already have the Garland injury. They're clearly significantly worse without Garland in the lineup.
Yeah.
Mitchell's had some lingering stuff over the years. If they have some bad injury stuff and the two center lineup continues to be wonky, if they fell out and Milwaukee somehow climbed to the 2 seed, would that be crazy? Not really, because the East is terrible.
It's really bad.
There's definitely a path where that happens. So
and
I'm not picking it, but it's there. And Mike, you had maybe the craziest dark horse pick on this entire sheet with your dark horse coach of the year that I need you to sell me on, because I saw this on our outline and I almost spit out my drink because I thought it was so insane.
Well, hang on. I have 2 here. So I have a hypothetical dark horse if the Pacers hit their over. So if the Pacers hit their over, Rick Carlisle plus 3,500 must have done something right, because I think we both had their under. You locked their under. If Indiana wins 40, 45 games, Rick Carlisle is the coach of the year. I mean, there's no way this team without Halliburton, without Miles Turner, should be anything special this year.
I'll believe that when I see it.
Of course. Is that the one you want me to tell you on, or is it the other one?
No, it's the other one. It's the plus 5,000.
Plus 5,000.
Who's around the depths of, let's see, Willie Green.
Okay.
And my guy, Doc Rivers, who again was kind of just a random pitch. I just think his odds were bad. But
here we go.
Plus 5,000 for this, who, by the way, twice as good of odds as Brian Keefe. And I think these teams are not that far away from each other, but sell me.
Okay, so Charles Lee, plus 5,000, Charlotte Hornets. I love the Charlotte Hornets this year. Again, I already locked their over. You keep laughing over there. Here's the thing. If there's any one of these, awful lottery teams that pick in the top 5 every year that's going to take a jump, my bet is on Charlotte. So remember, last year team that did that was Detroit. They went from 14 wins to 44, whatever it was. And they were a top 6 team in these. They kind of stumbled into top 6 because Philly was so terrible in the regular season, and the Heat obviously don't take the regular season seriously. So Detroit looked up. They're like, hey, we're a top 6 seed. We were 15th in the conference last year. We were dead last. And Bickerstaff almost won coach of the year. I think if there's a guy that could do that, what if there's a world where Charlotte, who, by the way, brought in a lot of good high floor guys. I like the moves that Charlotte made this offseason. I think they brought in a lot of guys who can impact winning right now. So if there's a team that can get out of the depths of the bottom of the Eastern Conference, which they've been in for the last few years, like them, the Wizards, and the Nets, I think they can get out of that stage. I think they really can if they make the play-in, it's the Eastern Conference. The Pacers stink. Boston's without their star player. Miami's roster is weird. I hate Toronto's roster. You know that. I don't like all those guys together. The Bulls are going to win 34 games like they always do. What if the Hornets just leap all these teams? Is there a world where that happens? And if it happens, let's play hypotheticals. Let's say, for example, they're the Pistons of last year. Maybe they don't win. Maybe they're not a top 6 seed. But you could stumble into it if the Sixers are a mess again. If Embiid again plays only 30 games. If the Bucks thing goes totally terrible and they trade Giannis to the West, they're out of it. The Hornets could just stumble into a top 8 seed, and it's wait a second, Charles Lee turned this team from 14th in the Eastern Conference to top 8. That could be big. It could be something. What if LaMelo plays 70 games? These are all things on the table.
That's where you lose me. It's the only way this happens is if Brandon Miller and LaMelo are both healthy the entire season. I just want to see that first before I believe it, because it's yet to happen. Miller's been hurt both of his years in the NBA. I can't remember the last full LaMelo season. It's not really ever happened either.
They're due. But here's the thing, Cade Cunningham, when was the last healthy season you can remember until last year? When was the last time Cade was healthy the whole year that you can remember? Prior to
I guess it doesn't happen until it does happen.
Nobody was
I guess
betting
is
on
the adage there.
Of course.
I don't hate it. I just am concerned with LaMelo's durability more so than anything else. If he's in the lineup, I think you have a decent case. Even so, would it be enough to get coach of the year buzz from Charles Lee? I'm not sure.
Oh, probably not. But
you sold me better than I thought you would. You sold me better than I thought you would.
Yeah, and I'm not going to bet on it. But I'm just saying, Bickerstaff didn't even win it last year, and the Pistons improved by like 30 games. So it's very tough to do it. I'm just saying, if Charlotte stumbles their way into like a play-in and they leapfrog these bad teams like Indiana because of health, and the Bucks maybe because Giannis gets traded, and maybe the Sixers because they just have another year from hell. If that happens and Charlotte looks up and they have high floor guys, their entire draft was high floor guys that aren't going to bust right away and will help us in their rotation. If that's the case and Charles Lee's a good coach, which I kind of think he is, then it's possible at plus 5,000. He's not going to win. Let's be real here, but it's something that looks like he could be like the Walmart Jimmy Bickerstaff for the Pistons of last year, which means he could be a finalist. There's a world where he's a finalist if Charlotte's good. I don't know.
Mike, you keep mentioning the Pistons. Here's my favorite prop on the entire thing. Most improved player. This is an award I actually like, but I think is a disgrace on how voters have voted for the last few years.
Yeah.
This seems to be the natural progression award, where all it is it's a guy in their second or third year that just gets better because, hey, newsflash, that's just kind of sports. It just happens like that. It's always usually a top guy as far as a premium lottery pick that everyone's talked about their entire career that just gets better. And this year I have a guy who fits that mold, but not in a traditional sense. And that's why I like it so much. It fits my mold and it fits the kind of natural mold for a guy that just is actually going to improve enough where I think they were we'll call it decent rotation guy, and now I think can be a sub-all-star level talent. And that is Jaden Ivey, who was hurt last year. He's plus 5,000 for this. I think that is ridiculous. I think that is awful. Jaden Ivey, when he was in briefly last year, he was really, really good. He looked like he took a step forward. He can go to the basket better than almost anyone in the entire league. He has an electric first step. He has Russell Westbrook akin athleticism. And he seemed to be able to shoot the basketball all of a sudden, which I really appreciated. So if you have this kind of complete offensive player, there's no reason why without Beasley and Hardaway in town and with a role that needs to be kind of on the table for him, he needs to have something to kind of stick his teeth into, because I'm almost positive Detroit did not pick up his option. So he's playing for a contract right now.
Yeah.
So not only does he have a role on the table, he's in a contract year. He kind of has to prove his worth, if you will. And I think for a guy of this caliber, you don't see that very often. So I like it. Plus 5,000. It's just awful. It's truly awful. To me, I thought this was going to be closer to plus 1,500. I thought it was going to be that high with the likes of Amen Thompson, Andrew Nembhard, and the guy that you have for your pick. I couldn't get over the odds. Maybe he's not my top pick, but the odds were so ridiculous that I can't get it out of my head. I think this is perfect.
Yeah, plus 5,000 is stupid odds. The problem with most improved player of the year is we don't really know how they vote on the winner for this. It kind of changes every year.
And it felt like there was a push to kind of change it more to my way of thinking, where you actually improve. You go from maybe a guy that was barely in the rotation or hasn't lived up to expectations, and then you pop, not just a guy that was already good, that is great, that is young, that just happens to be the trajectory of most NBA players. It feels like guys get better. That's what happens.
I think by the way, I'm going with a guy who I don't think necessarily is going to get better. I just think that the volume is there. For example, I'm going to go back to the year where, remember Tyrese Maxey won it? I don't think Tyrese Maxey improved at all. I think that James Harden left.
No, we were so upset about this. We were so upset when he won this because it was so dumb.
Yeah, he was already good. Harden left, so he just became a better, it's very strange how it happened. He was already a good player. The only difference was Harden left the team, so somebody has to fill that void. And of course, he wins most improved player, but he didn't actually improve the most in the league. I believe the guy who actually improved the most, I forget who it was, but it was he definitely improved more than Maxey. From a year-to-year basis, he improved more.
Was that Desmond Baines here, or was that the year prior?
I think Bane was the year. Oh man, it might have been Bane's year actually. I don't know, but there was like a huge jump. I was like, how did that guy not win it?
Right.
But I'm gonna go with the mold of Tyrese Maxey winning it. So I'm gonna go with Ben Mathurin, who is plus 1,500. I think that without Halliburton and without Miles Turner, the scoring's got to be coming from somewhere. And Ben Mathurin's a guy, when he's in the game, he's got the green light. Like for some reason, Rick Carlisle's like, yeah, just do your thing, buddy. And Benny Ball was a real thing. I'm thinking about Game 3 of the NBA Finals. I was like, wait a second, that's a lottery pick, Ben Mathurin, that I remember. So when he's out there and when Halliburton was like off the floor and he was like, let me do my own thing, it was pretty good at times. It was good. At times it was also really bad. But if Indiana is sneaky, if Indiana's, a frisky, like pesky team, they still got Neesmith Island over here. They still got Nemhard. They got the good defenders over there. If Mathurin's just putting the ball in the hole and his numbers go up like crazy, which is possible for like a 10 seed Indiana Pacers team, it's like, oh, Ben Mathurin leads the team in scoring. Like, would that be crazy? Not really. It's just, did he actually improve? I think we probably would both agree, probably not. It's just, circumstances would help this for him. And he is, I believe, I think the third shortest odds or second short tied for second.
And I know we both agree here, but just for the audience, can you quickly do the reason why it's Mathurin and not Nemhard?
For me, Nemhard, and I think you saw it last year too, it's just not really a regular season guy. I mean, he comes alive in the playoffs for sure. We love our guy Nemhard in the playoffs, but last year in the regular season, he would have these games where it's just like he was just kind of disappearing. I think Mathurin would be the guy that, in my opinion, would take the jump as a former lottery pick. I think that if Indiana is just kind of like a nothing team this year and they're not really that competitive, I think you could see him kind of take more of the offensive shareholder, and you'll still see Nemhard. It's like probably picking up full court. I don't know if they'll be able to do that as effectively as they were last year with that whole, like, they never got tired. The Pacers would just pick up full court and just like wear you down. I don't know if they'll be able to do that, but if Nemhard's still picking up guys full court, maybe it takes away a little bit from the offensive side of the ball from him, and Mathurin just explodes. You can honestly take. I believe Nemhard is also plus 1,500, is he not? So you can take either one of these guys.
Yeah, they're the same odds. It's basically banking on exactly what you said. One of the Pacers guys just taking that volume that Halliburton left, and Turner in a way as well, and just being a all-star-ish level guy. Yeah. But I think for me, Mathurin, much more natural scorer, superior in that way. If he just averages like 22 points, I could see them giving him this. Sure. Nemhard, I don't know what the path is, because there was times where they needed him to step up last year in the regular season. He couldn't really do it. I think the playoff games, for whatever it is, he gets it a little bit more. I think it's a little bit overrated to an extent. I thought last year there was definitely games where they needed Nemhard, and it was either Neesmith or Turner or Toppin, even someone else on this team really kind of stepping up for him. McConnell, yeah, you bet. So I like Nemhard a lot. I like the idea of Nemhard. I just really want to see it for more than like a week at a time. Like, for sure. He has shown absolutely no consistency in the regular season whatsoever. As far as 82 games goes, yes, I need to see that for an 82-game stretch for him to actually win the award. Like, he could have a great month. I wouldn't put it past him. But Mathurin is a much more natural scorer. Like, if he like, he's got a bag, so to speak, to go hoop talk here, hoop speak. So he's got like again, if they just unleash the Ben Mathurin keys to the kingdom, maybe we see an average 22 a game. It's like, hey, Indiana, he improved. Like, did he really improve, or did he just get the keys to the kingdom? That would be my thought process for that award. But the award's so tricky. You never really know why they give guys the award, and did they actually improve? Yeah, it seems like the logic is kind of all over the place. And look, real quick, for NBA awards, there should be a criteria. If you're voting on anything, there should be a criteria. And often in like school or something of that nature, there is. Somehow we lose it with these important institutions like the NBA, like the Oscars, like the Grammys. Yeah. I'm not as sure on the latter two if there is like a definitive criteria, but I know for the NBA there just isn't whatsoever. So I think there should be a clear, like, this guy improved by doing this. And it's like more so than just being in his third year in the NBA and obviously naturally progressing more so than just coming out of nowhere, which I think is far more impressive. That is opportunity share matters, of course, but coming out of nowhere is more impressive. And this guy, again, I'm going against my own logic here, but it's because I'm placating to how they actually vote for it, which is Rob Dillingham at plus 18,000. If you hypothetically put $5 on this, you would win $905. That is not gambling advice. That is just... Yeah, I saw your eyes light up. You like that one?
That's insane. That's insane.
I'm all over this. I've been over this for a few days. I'm glad they finally put it up because I don't think he was here when we first started talking about this episode. Rob is going to be probably the sixth man out of necessity for this team. DiVincenzo is going to be in the waters as well, but
Naz Reid,
and Naz Reid. But I meant as far as like the go-to scoring option. Naz Reid to me is a super starter. I don't even count him as a sixth man. To me, he's like the fifth guy. Mike Conley starts because he's a guard. That's how I think about this team. For me, the actual like six man role is much more placated to Rob Dillingham and his strengths. He has to be this guy right now for them. And whether he ends up starting or anything, I don't know. We'll see what happens there. I think Conley, I thought he regressed pretty noticeably, and I think it's going to continue trending in that direction. I love Mike Conley. I thought he was probably the team's most important player the year prior because of his ability to set up offense.
Yeah.
They're going to need not only Dillingham's scoring ability, they're going to need his creation ability as well. If he can kind of either succumb Mike Conley in the rotation or just play 20, 25 minutes a night, score, we'll call it 12, 13, get like 4 or 5 assists, that's better than pretty much zeros across the board last year because he didn't really play much. So I think, again, maybe that's not enough of an improvement that the committee likes, even though to me that's far more impressive than just, going from 13 to 20 points a game as a natural scorer. But regardless, I think Dillingham, the odds here, again, 5 for 905. Can't get much better than that. So that's my dark board kind of just dart throw pick.
If they were doing it this way, that would be a really good case because he actually would be the one that would improve the most, and he would actually need to improve the most because the Timberwolves need him to. They're kind of ushering out Conley each year as we go past, and they're kind of like grooming Rob Dillingham to be the next guy. By the way, just to read off the names here that have won it the last few years: Dyson Daniels, Tyrese Maxey, Lauri Markkanen, John Morant, Julius Randle, Brandon Ingram, Pascal Siakam. All these guys were like kind of borderline.
Outside of Dyson Daniels, do you think any of those guys actually improved enough to win this? Because
I was going to say not at all. They were already kind of like fringe, about to be all-stars, about to be just natural progression, like you said. They're about to be naturally progression. They're going to be probably close to all-star.
But Dyson winning it does kind of open the door for maybe we're trending in the right direction.
Yes, a little bit. Yeah, it's not like because he didn't come out of nowhere per se, but he kind of was not like a fringe all-star at all.
I think he was kind of ran out of New Orleans. He didn't really fit the system. There was times where a lot of smart basketball people really liked Dyson, and then it just never worked, and they got rid of him.
Yeah, they traded him for DeJounte Murray, who everyone was like, oh, like who's going back? No one really cared about Dyson Daniels in that. I mean, we did, but like when we saw the Hawks get Dyson Daniels and get DeJounte Murray, we were like, whoa, the Pelicans got DeJounte Murray. It was really like, well, the Hawks got the guy who's now kind of like a fringe all-star guy. So yeah, no, you're right, but I think Rob Dillingham obviously maybe just doesn't have enough of a like stay hold in the league for the committee to vote him the winner. Like that might just be what they might have like a criteria of you have to at least be on our radar or you're not getting the award. Because we've seen like he could obviously have a huge jump and they have a huge improvement, but like the criteria for the award, for some reason you already have to be like on their radar, which is very strange and we obviously don't agree with it. But I was looking at here, Trey Murphy's plus 5,000. How could he improve more than he did last year? I just don't really understand why he's plus 5,000. Like if he fits the bill for the award, like let's just placate here. If he fits the bill for the award, which looking at the recent trend here, Markkanen, Randall, Tyrese Maxey, guys like that. Like what if Trey Murphy's like an all-star caliber player and he's like really good again, but the Pelicans are like actually winning games and they're not like 15-67.
That's the key. I think some of these guys
empty calories last year for him.
There's some guys where we care about them way more than the average person does. And there's a disconnect where we think everyone knows that Trey Murphy was balling last year, but in reality, he was on the Pelicans. They were terrible. And not a lot of people actually know that. And respectfully, that includes some of the people that vote for this award. It just does. Because some of these people are legacy voters at this point. Some of them just, are underqualified, whatever it is. Trey Murphy's
good? Like, do they know he's good?
We watch this day in and day out. So there is a guy like Trey Murphy, even like a Bilal Coulibaly. These guys are already good. They're good basketball players. Bilal took a step like pretty definitively last year. They should not have the same odds as Cam Whitmore, who was so bad that the team that was begging to get rid of him basically sold him for nothing.
Yeah.
So
to Washington. So
yes, to the pit hole of America, sports wise. So it's just one of these things where I don't know. I don't know what the criteria is anymore.
I don't either, but I think he fits their bill of like he's already good. I hope they know he's good. But like you mentioned,
he fits some of the people's bill, but that's the other thing. There's so many like factions in these voting where people think one way, others think another. It's just we spend so much time on it. if we just had a clear criteria, I think we'd be able to nail these things way more often. Now it's like, we're just really guessing based off what they will think more so than what these players will actually accomplish.
It's a shot in the dark, to not to use a Survivor pun here, but like if he actually won this award, would he be the most improved player in the league? No, he would not.
Not even close. Not even close.
How could he improve? I don't know if anyone watched the Celtics and Pelicans game last year. He had like 45 on like ridiculous efficiency.
Single-handedly kept them in the game.
Yeah, he missed like 4 shots the entire game. It was like one of the most ridiculous things you'll ever see from like a 6'10" guy, where he was like making like he was like doing like guard stuff on the perimeter to like Jason Tatum. I was like, what's going on here? So it was like crazy. I was like, how could he improve more than he already did last year? But the Pelicans were so bad last year. Maybe if they're like a fringe play-in team this year, which they kind of have to be because they don't have their first round pick. Like if they're like decent and he's on people's radar now, I guess maybe he wins the award. I don't know. I mean, he's already good. There's no way he should be winning most improved when he's already a really good player. He already improved. So I don't know what their criteria is, but if it is, just be like a fringe all-star, maybe he wins it. I don't know why he's plus 5,000 if that's the case, but I don't get it. I really don't know if they know who's going to be most improved. They're just inventing lines.
Pretty much, but I think we have this one kind of on lock here. MVP.
Yeah.
You're really going to have to convince both of us that it's not going to be Nikola Jokic. Like, I don't know, unless he misses time, I don't know how it's not him. I think it's borderline impossible. I think this is the year he establishes himself as a top 8 player in the history of the game.
Yeah.
I think he's in line to win a title, not to spoil something later.
Oh.
Jokic to me at plus 220 is borderline free. We don't have to spend much time on it. You guys know who Jokic is at this point. He's a walking 30-point triple-double.
It's insane.
If they win 55 to 56 games, he probably should have won it last year based off statistical profile. I was totally fine giving it to Shea.
Yeah, that's fine.
But now that he didn't win it last year, it only inclines me more to pick him this year. Like he's almost due, if you will. So we'll just go into the dark horses here because it's not even worth spending much more time on the Jokic thing. It's tough because, again, it feels like it's more so if Jokic gets hurt, who could emerge, or if there's Jokic fatigue for whatever reason, who can emerge. I went with Ant just because he's so likable. He's on a good team. If Minnesota could have a better record than Denver, which isn't out of the question for me,
not at all,
could Ant maybe have enough steam from media, from fans, from other players in the league who seemingly really like him, and pair that with some Jokic fatigue? Could that happen? I think maybe, but it feels like anything not on Jokic is a bad bet. But you had an interesting point that I like, that I wish I could steal, but even then it's like we're just grasping at straws here.
I also went with Anthony Edwards, by the way, as my dark horse. Remember, the Timberwolves were kind of scuffling last year early in the season. They were like 500. I think I mentioned in January, I was like, what's going on with our Wolves? And then they finished the year really, really good. They were one of the better teams.
Yeah, we were really concerned because we had a lot of stock on Minnesota, and the returns were not great, but we ended up looking totally fine. So,
but here's the thing. And by the way, the Wolves, I believe, were 7-19 in clutch games last year. I'm not saying that's going to get flipped around. I'm not saying they're going to be 19-7 in clutch games this year, but if they're just a little bit better than that, and if they are able to kind of, take the last 30 games of last season and kind of, translate it into a better regular season this year, could they be better than Denver? Of course they can. Of course, we saw them have the exact same record as Denver literally a year prior. So they absolutely could do that. And again, Anthony Edwards, if he leads the league in threes again, he certainly could.
Mike, think about it like this. If they're 11-15 in clutch games, that's below 500. That's not a great mark. But they're still 4 wins better than last year.
Yeah, now they're like a 50-win team. So that's
right.
I believe they were like 48-34 last year or something like that. So they're like a 52-win team, if that's just a little bit better. And obviously we know they started off slow. So just don't start off that bad again this year. They were like under 500 in December. So yeah, they were like a frisky play-in team until they really got it going. So yeah, and it's a full year of DiVincenzo and Julius Randle. Obviously, I know they were kind of like traded very late in the offseason last year, like around this time. So, they have a full camp now with Minnesota. I like Ant as a dark horse, but let's be real here. It's Nikola Jokic's award. Because he didn't win it last year and they gave it to SGA, which I wasn't even upset about it because SGA was the runner-up the year before. And then obviously it was almost like voter fatigue. You can't give Jokic another one. So they gave it to SGA. Yeah. Now that Jokic didn't win last year, it's like it kind of like opens the floodgates. Okay, Jokic can now win again, right? He's allowed to win again. It's like we're opening the gates. Like, okay, he couldn't do it now. Let's just let him pass. Like he can now win it again. And unless he gets hurt, which I don't really foresee happening, it's his award. It's like, let's be realistic. We don't need to give SGA 2 in a row unless OKC wins 74 games. which is the only reason why I think Steph went back to back, because obviously they were the best regular season team ever. Like, was Steph the best player in the league in 2016? I think people thought it was still LeBron James, but the Warriors were having
it was at least
years. It was a conversation.
As crazy as this sounds, I think it was at least closer because of the way Steph was revolutionizing basketball.
Yeah.
We both love SGA.
He's not revolutionizing.
There's no way you can convince anyone that he's better than Jokic one-on-one. To the point where SGA, his team, I'd say at least was 4 or 5 degrees better than Jokic's, and Jokic took him to a game.
Went 7 games. Right. So Steph and LeBron, in 2016, it was at least a conversation. There's not really a conversation as to who the best player in basketball is. It is obviously Nikola Jokic. And because he didn't win it last year, it's his award this year if Denver's like a 55-win team, which they absolutely should be with flying colors. And again, SGA won it last year, so it's no problem to not give it to him this year. Outside of that, I mean, who could really win it? There's no one that could really win it. If Luka gets the Lakers to 55 games, then sure, but that's just not happening. So it's Nikola Jokic's award. We don't spend too much. I did as another dark horse. I'm not going to bet on it, but one of the Eastern guards, like what if the East? What if?
No, I liked your take here on whether it was like Cade or Brunson, or Trae Young. I liked
plus 10,000, but
Donovan Mitchell. Yeah, one of those 4 guys. I didn't hate that, especially Jalen Brunson. If they win like 58 games, could they do the like best player, best team in the East thing? I could totally see that. New York, you get that push behind you. I could totally see that. But
yeah, the media will be behind that. I'm thinking about. I'm not going to take it, but like obviously Donovan Mitchell didn't win it last year. I don't know. Like the Cavs had they won like 66 games. So
yeah, there's no way. There's no way. And he wasn't even really like heavily considered.
No, he was like a fringe first team all guy. First team all NBA. It was like him or Ant as like the last guy on the first team. So it wasn't really going to happen. But he's plus 10,000 for this award.
And I think people only even gave him that because of the win total. I think if the win total wasn't as dramatically different between the two teams, I think Ant has it. So
easily, yeah. That's why we like him as a dark horse. But I think in the East, because the East is so bad, maybe one of these teams wins like 68 games and it's best player, best team. They could absolutely do it with Brunson. He's plus 3,000. Cade, if Detroit takes a huge step, which I don't think we foresee happening, but if it does, there's like at least a play for that. Like there's
I thought his odds were a little bit too high. I thought Cade having better odds than Brunson was a miss.
A little ridiculous. Yeah. So plus 3,000, plus 5,000. Those are just like dark horse shot in the darks. If you like these Eastern Conference teams, then you could do the whole best team in the East. Give the best player on that team, which is for this case would be the point guard in Cunningham or Brunson or whoever else, Trae Young, Donovan Mitchell. Like you can go with a guard in the East if you want, but it's just that's like if you're just not betting on Jokic, like you might just let me just keep scrolling and look who's down there. But at that point, just bet on Wemby. Like there's no point betting on any of these guys.
Seriously,
it's Jokic's award. So yeah.
Before we wrap up here, we just wanted to do rapid fire. Let's start with this least favorite storyline heading into the season. For me, I'll just rip this off the bat. The whole 76ers debacle, I'm over it. I don't want to talk about their health anymore. I don't want to talk about their trajectory as a team, whether it's up or down. I don't want to talk about their young guys, all of the same position, all who kind of are redundant of each other and do the same thing well. I just don't want to talk about it. And I like some of these guys. I like Jared McCain a lot. I really like VJ Edgecombe. I've kind of come around on him a little bit. I like the idea of Paul George on any other team in the league besides the one he's currently on. I like enough of the players. It's just together as a collective, Nick Nurse bores me. Like the thing that he's still around and he's on the ropes despite no coach in the league would be able to kind of handle what he's gone through the last few years or any of the coaches of this franchise. I'm just so over them. Until they make actual change, I just don't want to hear about it anymore. I really don't.
Yeah, I put anything Sacramento Kings related. I don't really care. I hope we're not doing late game podcast emergency reaction to another Russell Westbrook failed, late game stretch. I don't really want to talk about that anymore. We probably will, but I'm not gonna like envy, talking about anything Kings related. I hope we don't talk about DeMar DeRozan, Zach LaVine. How is their
real quick, going? Mike? I almost love to hate it. Like you need to love to hate something. I almost love to hate the Kings thing. It's like. It's so stupid. I kind of enjoy it.
But do we need to talk about the LaVine, DeMar DeRozan storyline anymore?
No.
Like, do we need to really do that? It's 2025.
Yeah, those guys need to still play together, Mike. They have to.
I guess. I also put down how many games Joel Embiid and Paul George play together. Do I have to really track that anymore? I don't want to track it anymore. That's kind of back to your point about the Sixers. I don't really care how many games these guys play together. It's just, it bores me at this point. I like Paul George, but it's this for some reason in Philly, guys just don't play every day. It's like they all take the Embiid treatment. They just like, we'll take this day off. Road trip. Nah, I'm good. Street closed. So anything Kings related, and then the tracking. How many games has Embiid played this year? I don't really need to hear about that. And same thing with Paul George. Like I just don't really. It's not a storyline I'm going to follow too much this year. There's too many interesting things going on in the NBA for me to follow Sixers and Sacramento Kings storylines. Speaking
of your favorite,
my favorite is the big ball experiment. We're going to get it tonight in Houston. Houston's starting, by the way, for everyone who does not follow right now. The Rockets play tonight against the Thunder, who will be hoisting their banner. The Rockets are going to trot out a big ball lineup of 6'7" plus guys. Not a lot of these guys can shoot the basketball. So Amen Thompson's starting point guard, as we mentioned in our over-under video. He'll be taking a lot of that responsibility. Kevin Durant, our guy, 6'11" in shoes, is probably more than that, is the shooting guard for Houston tonight. Jabari Smith is in there. Şengün is starting. And obviously our guy Steven Adams is starting. So it's all 7-footers, basically, besides Amen Thompson, who's 6'7". So I don't know how it's going to work, but I'm fascinated to see how this works. Also, their fellow Texans here, the Dallas Mavericks, are also going to be trying a big ball experiment with possibly Cooper Flagg starting at point guard with a bunch of size and wings and rim protection. So I'm interested to see how it goes. I don't know if it's going to be great shooting-wise. It might not be good spacing-wise. Might not be good fast break-wise. But I want to see how it happens because it's kind of the opposite of this revolutionary basketball that we've been talking about. You mentioned Steph Curry changing the game. We've seen so much small ball recently in the NBA. We're kind of getting back to almost like an unprecedented, forget double bigs. How about everyone's 6'7" plus? Like we're on a roller coaster. It's like, yeah, you can't cross unless you're this tall type of thing. Like it's crazy, but I want to see how it's going to, I want to see how it works against teams. I mean, obviously OKC can match anyone with size, but I want to see how it's going to work throughout the season. Like obviously tonight they play OKC, but if Houston actually rolls out this lineup for like the first half of the year, I'm interested to see how it goes. Like they're a top league pass team for me because I want to see how this works. Same thing with Dallas.
I know how this is going to go. It's going to end at halftime. Like, it's going to end at halftime. Houston's going to have 5 made threes the entire night. 2 of them will come in the first half. And
Durant. Yeah.
They'll be like, okay, we need to change this up. Be on pace for 5 made threes, excuse me. They'll make more when they actually play a real basketball lineup instead of whatever the hell they're trying out. But I am excited for it. But yeah, it's going to be terrible. I don't need to speak in what ifs. It's going to be bad. Like, it has to be bad. There's no way around it. But it's going to be enjoyable, at least for the first half.
By the way, did you pick another Texan team or another Texas team? Because I picked Houston and Dallas. I want to see how they both play. Did you pick?
Yeah, I rounded out the state here with San Antonio. The 3-guard system. I'm fascinated by this because it makes no sense to me logically whatsoever. Again, this is far more fun, in my opinion, because I think it'll be at least a multi-week storyline where I think Houston's might be done within the first 25 minutes of this game. But
Dallas, it has to be a multi-week storyline. It has to be.
Dallas at least has to. Well, Dallas could start D'Lo, I guess. So I guess that kind of goes away.
Are you
from
interested in that? It's not my storyline. I don't care about that.
No, not at all. But San Antonio, they're going to have to start some of these guys, and there's kind of a mix of worlds here because you have De'Aaron Fox, who I think this franchise wouldn't have traded for if they understood that they were going to get Dylan Harper and Stephon Castle was going to be who he was. But at the same time, it was such a good value for them. Maybe they do make that trade and get an all-star caliber player like Fox. And as I mentioned, they have Castle still and they have Harper. You can't play them all at the same time. They're all slightly different. It's not as redundant as what you see maybe with Dallas or Houston and their lineups. It's really different. If you look at Fox, who's a score-first driving point guard. You have Castle who's kind of a tweener, really wants his shot to go in. It's a little bit shaky, but he really wants to be a shooter. But again, he's so athletic. He's a little bit more willing of a distributor. And then you have Harper, who's on the other side. He was a terrible shooter at Rutgers. But the shot profile's decent enough. You see some of the metrics with him, particularly in high school, on the circuit, that makes you a little bit more bullish on what he could be. But he's an incredible distributor. He's an unbelievable table setter. He's a great athlete, and he is a solid enough finisher around the rim. So all the guys, slightly different, provide different things on a team that desperately needs a forward. So there's this kind of lingering, is one of these guys going to be on the roster at the end of the year? Are they going to move one to get an elite forward, whoever that might be? So I just really think that that's the big wrinkle, because if one of these guys asks out in a different location, if they're a forward, San Antonio is going to be the first on the line, and one of these guys could be dangled above. And right now, Giannis, I think we pitched it a lot, that Giannis makes way too much sense for this team. But who's going to be the first guy out? Because I think everyone has a different opinion of it, which I think is awesome. I think there's the camp where Fox maybe doesn't fit the timeline, whatever that means to some
Yeah.
people. He doesn't necessarily fit the timeline, and maybe he's slightly overrated, some would say. So there's that end of it. There's the Harper's a totally unproven asset. You might as well just get rid of him now. And then I think now there's an emerging Castle camp where does Castle really fit? Because you have Harper, who's a blue chip prospect. You have Fox, who is a really great player, top 35, 40 player in the NBA.
Yeah.
Castle maybe was just a product of a bad rookie class. Maybe he didn't pop the way people think he did. He was just playing a lot out of necessity for a team that really needed a guard without obviously Harper in the room and Fox being injured. So there's a lot of layers to this, and I think we'll just get a lot of great content for at least the first few months until maybe we get some clarity of who's on the ins, who's on the outs, so they work well together, whatever that might be.
By the way, I forgot to mention it, but since we're talking about the teams from Texas, I did want to shout out Jabari Smith on our most improved player. I did not take him. I didn't even mention him as a dark horse, but I just wanted to throw out, again, one of these Rockets guys has to pop. I still have stock in Jabari Smith Island. I don't know if you do, but
look, I had to get rid of the water slide in the apartment, but I at least, made sure the couch was furnished well enough. Like we had some holes in the corner. So I made sure to get some new cushions, and the apartment's still nice, but the water slide was a bit too much. The indoor pool had to close. Like, we're cutting costs a little bit, but we're still there. We're still firmly there.
Yeah, I think the refrigerator's good though. We have some pieces in the house that's like, okay, this can stay. And
we're not making food anymore. We're getting takeout more often. It's getting a little weird. The trash is a bit overflowing, but hopefully the property's decent enough for when the time comes.
Yeah, and we're still living there, which I still have stock. I'm still on Jabari Smith Island, so I like him. Now, before we get to our finals pick, are we going to float the idea of the term that we've coined, the James Harden Award? I know I have one for this. I don't know if you have any.
Yeah, let's do it. We have a little bit of time. Let's do it.
Let's have a little bit of time. Okay, so for people who don't know, the James Harden Award is first disgruntled superstar. That's not even
people have talked about this, but me and Mike really hammered this down the last few years. We pick it every year.
Yeah, it's the first guy to really ask out and demand a trade. Really, like he's like, I'm out of here. Like I had enough. I don't know if you're going to go back to the Booker well. I know you mentioned it for the 50-point prop. You could go back to that.
I think I hit this. I hit this once. It might have been last year with Levine. I know I've like hit or come close to hitting this where like the guy asked, but he didn't get moved. So it's like whatever you want to call that. Yeah. But I've been around the whole of this. Like I'm gonna hit it this year. I'm confident. I want to hear your guy first.
Yeah, I bet on DeRozan one too many times, and the Bulls just never traded him until last year. So yeah, mine for this was I was thinking about Zion. Because if things go bad in New Orleans, like this is gonna be really bad. But I have stock on New Orleans is over, so I can't do Zion, even though I think it's very possible that it could happen. The two guys I was thinking about were LaMelo Ball and Domantas Sabonis. I'm totally out of I know. And it's probably not, it's a shot in the dark. But if the Kings are absolutely moribund and they're just terrible, do they just say, you know what, let's go crazy here and let's trade everybody? It's not too late to tank for our guy Debanza, Darren Peterson. Boozer. Like it. What if they just say enough's enough? And by the way,
I don't think Vivek would ever do it, but I pitched something similar, and I think there's a world where.
But he's 30 now. Sabonis is 30.
I think there's a world where maybe it's like a soft retool that he tries to convince the fans is good, and it's literally just moving Domantas Sabonis.
Right. That could. So it's in play. Like if the Kings are terrible, what's the point of keeping your 30-year-old all-star player here? Like there's no point really. Like you could just do a fire sale and trade Levine, Sabonis, or Levine and DeRozan. But we've already done Levine and DeRozan on this exact award, the James Harden Award. I don't know if those guys are still disgruntled playing with each other, but either way, I'm going big. I'm going Domantas Sabonis. I think LaMelo is a good idea if Charlotte's terrible again, and they said, you know what, enough of this. I think Zion for the same reasons. If he can't stay on the floor, he may. And if the Pelicans stink, he might just be like, let me get a new fresh start somewhere else. Heat culture maybe. And then obviously you mentioned a good one with Devin Booker. If Devin Booker is maybe the Pistons are calling, someone's calling, and the Suns are like, 5-17, and they're just like one of the worst teams you'll ever, one of the worst watches ever. Maybe they just say, you know what? And by the way, the Suns are not privy to this. The Suns did this a couple years ago. They said, you know what? They woke up out of nowhere and they're like, hey, let's trade for Kevin Durant. So they've done it before, but for a disgruntled superstar. So maybe, they get a little frisky. Obviously, new owner syndrome. Matt Ishbia, maybe he says, we just need to fully get off this thing. Beal's gone now. Durant's gone. Let's just get out of the Devin Booker industry and sell high when we can. I don't know if they do that. I'm going to go with Domantas Sabonis because I have no stock in anything Sacramento. So I'm going to go Sabonis for my James Harden Award.
You're not ready for this one. So I floated the LaMelo thing. I made the joke that it's not to actually win; it's just to get out of Charlotte because he just wants a bigger city to party and live it up in.
Sure.
I thought about Booker. I've been on the Booker thing literally for like a year and a half now. But I want to go somewhere. I want to zag a little bit because it'd be so easy for me to pick Booker. It's so easy. Here's the one. There's nothing really supporting this whatsoever. There's just a few tea leaves. For example, randomly getting rid of your third best player and not really replacing him for any reason. Your coach having such little control on the team that he is fired in the middle of the season despite everyone in the world thinking he's an awesome coach when they did so.
Oh, it's going to be Ja.
It is Ja Morant. I think maybe, just maybe, the Memphis thing has run its course. I think if he's really matured, he might understand that the city's not the best for him in his vices, if you will. The team's going to be bad, I think, especially if Jaren Jackson misses the first few months. And it could be like, look, I love the city of Memphis very much. I don't trust the organization, and I just don't want to be here anymore. I think I'd be better off somewhere else, a fresh start, if you will. I think they never really intended on trading him, but I think it got really murky there, and I think there was loyalties tested in that building. And again, I don't necessarily know anything about it, but it was clear they chose Ja. It was clear they stuck by him, but did they stand by him well enough for his liking? I think there's definitely times where it got a little bit weird there. I think that relationship's fractured. So I think if they come out and they start a little bit shaky, Ja could ask for a move.
By the way, I test drove this for about 20 minutes, and ultimately I leaned, if
how did I do? Did I do okay? I think he likes the city too much. Genuinely, I think he likes the city too much. I think he likes kind of being a cult hero. I know our guy Verno's talked about where you go to, let's say, Boston, you're going to see predominantly Jason Tatum jerseys, but you're going to see Jaylen Brown. You're going to see Larry Bird still. You're going to see a lot of the role guys, by the way, like Pritchard. He had a lot of jerseys. Last year, in the last few years, Porzingis was selling a lot of jerseys. When you go to Memphis, it's 12s everywhere. There's not, like, Jaren Jackson's a beloved guy, sure, but it's all Ja. Everyone has the shoes. Everyone has the jersey. And there's clearly like this attraction from the city to him and this affection of him. I don't think he would do it, but if it's going to happen, I think it's going to happen this year.
That's ultimately why I think you just made the case as to why he probably won't be the James Harden a winner this year. But I ultimately test drove it and I said, when him and Triple J are on the floor together, they're just, I think, too good to be absolutely terrible for the bottom to fall out. Like, I think I was like contemplating their over-under. I was like, I don't know. Do I want to go over? Do I want to go over? I don't know, but I think ultimately I didn't go with him because I think that him and Triple J had at least some staying power. I don't have any staying power in Sacramento. I think it'd be terrible. So it's tough, but I think Ja's a good one. I did float I actually walked around for like 20 minutes. I was like, it could be Ja this year. It really could be. And I was like, no, I think he's just too big for Memphis. I think the city of Memphis cannot afford to lose Ja. I think he truly does love Memphis.
Let's get to it. Let's get to what we've been waiting for a few weeks now. Our finals picks, and I teased it earlier, and I'm sticking to it. I have the Denver Nuggets over the Knicks in 6 games.
Knicks.
It's this simple for the Nuggets winning the chip this year. I think Jokic is too good of a player to only have one title. I think he's due, and I think this year makes way too much sense. The East is terrible. The West, I think the depth of the West is really, really tough, but I think at the end of the day, it's really just going through one team, which is the Oklahoma City Thunder. I think they match up with Minnesota at this point really well. I think there was a time where with Cat, that Minnesota really posed a lot of issues for Denver. Right now with Gobert, just no. Simply no. It just does not work anymore. I think Denver also is a matchup issue for Oklahoma City. And we saw that, and Mike, more than anything, it was with a hobbled Aaron Gordon and with a Michael Porter Jr. with one shoulder, and a Jamal Murray who was out of shape for half the season. Murray is in shape. They replaced Porter Jr. with Cam Johnson, which I think is a massive upgrade. I think Gordon being healthy presumably would be a big swing as well. And then you look at the depth. They bring in Brown. They bring in Tim Hardaway. I just think right now, and Valanciunas as well, to finally give Jokic some release. Right now, I think Denver's really the top of the mountain. If Jokic has a close enough team to what Shea has, and I'm not necessarily saying he does, but I think it's significantly better than it was last year, I'm going to pick Jokic every time. It's just how it is.
Yeah.
So Nuggets over Knicks in 6. You could talk me into OKC repeating. I just think it's so hard to repeat in the modern NBA.
Yeah.
And Jokic is just on another stratosphere. Best bet, by the way, this entire time. I have action on this. Jokic Finals MVP plus 700.
Wow. I am going to go OKC. I'm going to go OKC out of the West. I'll get to the East pick in a second here, but I think ultimately what I lean the Thunder a little bit over the Nuggets is I think this is the Nuggets roster come postseason time. I know this is their depth chart. I think if anyone gets injured, I don't think there is really a move to be made. Like I don't think they can go out and get another guy. Like say
that is
Hardaway.
Totally true. If there's an injury to any of these guys, particularly like Cam Johnson, Jamal Murray, they're really screwed.
Yeah, and I think if OKC, I'm not sure this is the roster concrete come April. I think they have a move. They can make another move. Like they could just add a guy randomly, just plop him onto the roster if they wanted to do that. I think Denver's a little bit more not as flexible because I think this is their core guy, and I think this core, the team is the rotation of this team is really really good. Like I don't have any flaws about the Denver Nuggets as currently constructed. But if there is an injury, if Hardaway goes down, if Brown has an injury or something like that, I'm not sure they can just go out and get a move at the deadline and like massively improve the roster. I think OKC, if they're like scuffling even a little bit, they can immediately fix that problem with one trade that Sam Presti, I believe, could get done. So I'm going to go OKC just because I think that this is not like a definitive, this is their team come April. I think they could even be better than they are right now, which is scary. I don't think I can say the same for Denver. I think Denver right now looks like the best team in the West. If Denver or OKC, for sure. But I think OKC has another level they can get to. And I think Denver's other level they can get to is just Nikola Jokic being so much better than everybody else, which he is for sure. It's very, very possible that this. I mean, I went back and forth on this. I think OKC Denver is the finals, but obviously they have to meet in the West. I went OKC over Knicks in 6. Before I get to the Knicks, staying in New York here for a second, Woody Johnson, the owner of the New York Jets, basically just went out on live television and just said that Justin Fields sucks. He basically just said he's terrible. And
really?
I swear. He literally, I'm paraphrasing. He basically said Justin Fields stinks and he can't complete a forward pass. He basically said that. He's like, don't blame Aaron Glenn. Our quarterback cannot complete a forward pass.
I did not have Justin Fields making the awards preview for the NBA season. That's how you know that is such a ridiculous thing that has infiltrated this podcast.
Yeah, I know. He infiltrated it. He's the fall guy in New York, which, again, basically Woody Johnson just saying, don't blame Aaron Glenn, guys. We have a quarterback who cannot complete forward passes. Again, I'm paraphrasing. That's basically what he just said. To get to the Knicks, though, staying in New York, I do have them coming out of the Eastern Conference. I think this is like a make or break for the Knicks. Like, when has the East ever been this wide open for the Knicks to just take it? I mean,
if they don't get to the finals this year,
there's no opportunity like this. This is
who is gone faster? Is it gonna be one of the Bridges or Towns camp, or is it going to be Mike Brown and they're gonna blame the coach again?
By the way, I test drove Towns as well for our James Harden Award. If the Knicks are like scuffing,
wow, really?
I test drove it. I was like, hey, maybe Towns wants an actual role. I don't know if it's still a lot of Brunson centric, and Towns is like, hey guys, I'm here too. I test drove it. I didn't go there. But if the Knicks are like underwhelming and Towns is like not happy, I don't know. We'll see. But I think the Knicks, to get back to them, the East has never been this wide open. I mean, Indiana's down their best player. You don't have to see Halliburton in your nightmares anymore. Who, by the way, has knocked the Knicks out the last 2 years. Boston, who is better than them when they're healthy, is not healthy this year at all. So you have them out of the way. There's no weird voodoo Miami Heat team in to knock you out to go back to 2023. So you got all those weird teams out of the way. It's just the Cavs. And unless you're into Orlando and unless you think Cade Cunningham is the next guard that's going to really suffocate the Knicks, or maybe Trae Young is back. Maybe their old friend comes back and kind of kicks them down again like he did in 2021. Other than that, I mean, there's no one in the East that really should be beating the Knicks besides the Cavaliers. And again, they have their own postseason issues. So if you're the Knicks, there's never a year that's been more wide open to get to the finals, maybe not win it, but get to the finals than this year. It's by and large the exact same team as last year that came up 2 games short, and the Eastern Conference is decimated. So if they don't win it this year, I really can't see a world where they get back to the finals. They haven't been in 25 years.
Yeah, it's make or break. You said it. Like it's
unless
it's the year for them, and I think it's the same for Cleveland because I'm sure the Cleveland fans are like, what about us? What about us?
Yeah,
I just think the Knicks have a better team. I think they have a better team. I think their top guy is more consistent when they need him, which I think is a big deal because I think maybe pound for pound Mitchell's still a better player, but I think Brunson is just so able to control games based off A, his tempo, but B, more than anything, controlling the refs and the whistle. I think that really matters in the postseason. We've seen Cleveland not really be able to infiltrate that in any sort of way. Their pacing in the postseason has been awful.
Terrible. I was about to say, what else hasn't happened yet? Donovan Mitchell hasn't got past the second round. I think it's a big deal. I think this is a year he could get past the second round. But the longer that he plays in the postseason, doesn't it just feel like Donovan Mitchell has this like strain? Like, I'm doing everything. Happened late in Utah too, where it was like, I'm doing everything. I'm scoring the basketball. And then
there's times where it's like, is he even playing that well? And is it because of the strain? Is it because he's a playoff dropper? Yeah, there's all that on the table.
Yeah, but each round it feels like he gets he dips a little bit. Like that Pacers series, he wasn't necessarily playing that well, but he was scoring like 40 points. Not on great efficiency, but he was like the only one really scoring. Obviously, the Garland injury hurt, but it was like, it's similar to the thing in Utah. He couldn't get past round 2, and it felt like there was this wall in round 2 where he couldn't get past, whether he was playing well or not. It just, I don't know if it's like the ceiling he can't get past, but I think once he does get past that, there's still another round after that, and I trust the Knicks a little bit more, weirdly enough, because they at least have gone to the conference finals now. At least they got that off their back. They went last year, kind of weirdly.
And I thought Indiana was a horrific matchup for them, and that's why I correctly picked that in 6. I thought Indiana was just way too athletic for them, really.
By the way,
I thought they were able to run up and down the court on them so easily, and I don't think Cleveland can do that. And I don't think there's a team in the East really that can do that to New York this year.
Oh, they wore the Knicks out with their pace and how fast they played. I don't think the Cavs will play that fast. I thought Boston was a tough matchup for the Knicks as well, and I thought
they were, but I think when you don't have a center that can stretch the floor anymore, I thought Porzingis was detractive more than anything, and that was because of the weird illness that no one can really explain.
Yeah, games 1 and 2 against the Celtics, the Knicks were down 20 both of those games, and then late in the fourth quarter, it was like Al Horford's on an island with Jalen Brunson. It's like, okay, well, I guess the Knicks have a path. But like they really were getting outmatched in that series, at least in the first 2 games. The last 4, they were able to kind of look like the better team. But in the first 2 games, in the first 3 games, really, they were getting kind of kicked in the teeth.
Yeah, so, that was closer to a Celtics sweep than a Knicks are going to the finals, it felt like. So.
Right, yeah, and Indiana was definitely the better matchup, and we both picked Indiana in that series. But I think in this case, if it's Cavs, Knicks, we've seen them in the playoffs once. It was the first round in 2023. The Knicks gentlemen swept them. So, again, it's kind of largely the same core a little bit. It's move some pieces around. You get Towns in there instead of Randall. You get a few other guys for Cleveland instead of the guys they have now. So, I think those are the 2 best teams head and shoulders. Maybe someone emerges like in Atlanta. I know you like them. I know Detroit, Orlando, Pesky. If the Bucks and Giannis has the best player, obviously, in the conference, maybe they just kind of, maybe they surprise you. I don't know. But
I don't think you're convincing me of anyone besides the Knicks or the Cavs.
So the Bucks are not making the finals. I mean, if the Bucks make the finals, Giannis is like top 12 all time. That would be like LeBron dragging
all of a sudden the Giannis Jokic stuff would start up again, which I think Jokic has easily lapped him at this point. Not just surpassed him, but lapped him. I think if Giannis gets another
finals with this roster, that would be it would be like, remember Jokic, the Orlando Magic cast of characters he had in 2022, the year before they won the title. He was like in a first round series against Golden State, and his point guard was like, I don't even know. Like, it was that bad. It was like
Campazzo, right?
It was Campazzo. Thank you.
It was Campazzo and Austin Rivers.
Yes, it was, and there was a bunch of Austin Rivers was the backcourt. Yes, you're absolutely right. And they beat Portland in that series somehow. So yeah, if Giannis was to drag, or no, that was 2021. They got swept by Golden State in 2022, or gentlemen swept. So yeah, if he was to drag the Bucks roster right now to the finals, I know it's a terrible East, but that would be pretty crazy. So yeah, it's got to be Cavs or Knicks. I'm gonna go Knicks. I trust them a little bit more. Ultimately, I think I was gonna go OKC over Knicks in 5, but I want to see the season end in the Garden, so I went OKC in 6, ended in Madison Square Garden.
That is about as complete of an NBA preview as you could possibly have. We just went through, again, just to reiterate, a 2-hour Eastern Conference preview that we did a few weeks ago. Last week, we did an over 2-hour Western Conference preview. Right now, we've done nearly 2 hours on all the awards, plus some storylines and the finals pick.
And Justin Fields.
And Justin Fields somehow snuck his way in here. That is nearly 6 hours of the NBA season content at your disposal from the Gurus. As we mentioned at the top of this, we will be back Thursday to recap the first full slate of games tonight and on Wednesday. So look forward to that. Survivor Pod as well will be Thursday. We're going to have to talk about football. We might be adding an additional pod to this entire schedule as well to discuss more Justin Fields, because that needs to happen.
What a nightmare.
We're going to do the mid-season superlatives as well. We talked about the superlatives before the season. We're going to check in, see how those are doing now, along with some other picks that we made for the NFL season. So the gurus are just pumping out content like no one else right now. So
Right. Yeah.
make sure to check all that stuff out. Mike's terrible Dolphins team is still producing enough content for him to have Dolphins Country, one of the most entertaining pages online right now. Just
apparently, I'm going next week. I'm going to the Dolphins Falcons game. I don't know why.
Really? I believe you told me that. I forgot about that. Yeah. Why are you doing that?
I have no idea. I'm literally like harming myself by doing it. I don't know.
You want to see another lefty matchup. That's what it is. Well, sorry, Quinn Ewers will be starting that game, but we'll be around for pretty much everything. I'm sure. Again, this LeBron situation might lend to an emergency pod because it seems like as the days progress with that situation's getting just extra weird. So, any final thoughts, Mike, on anything that we've discussed here?
Man, I'm pumped for the NBA season. I believe we're gonna get tonight. We got NBA on NBC and Peacock for the first time in over 20 years. Tomorrow we got it back on ESPN, and I believe Thursday is our debut for Amazon Prime. So I just can't wait to see. I'm a big networks guy. I want to see how the presentation looks. I want to see how the NBA looks not on TNT because I'm so like used to TNT for the last 20 years. But I'm interested to see how the NBA looks on these new platforms. I'm interested to see how our guy Blake Griffin looks as an analyst. Carmelo, all these other guys, D Wade. So I'm interested to see how it looks. I'm just hyped for the season, really.
Give me tonight Thunder to cover the 6.5, and give me the alt spread Warriors to win by over 6.5 points.
Okay.
I think the Warriors crush the Lakers tonight. No LeBron. Yeah. I think the Warriors have too much to contend with here. Give me the Warriors big tonight.
I'll go OKC spread just like you. I'm gonna take Lakers plus the points. I think it's a closer game than people think. I think because LeBron is out, people think the Warriors will steamroll them. I think it's going to be randomly close. I think Luka obviously always gives those teams problems. So I think it's going to be a randomly close game. There's got to be one close game tonight. I think OKC kind of rolls the Rockets after halftime. They kind of pull away. I think Golden State and LA is probably an early season classic, even without LeBron. That's my hot take-ish.
Okay.
I do like Golden State. I think Golden State wins, but I think it's late game free throw shooting. We'll see.
Yeah, I get you. So, we're just wrapping up here. So make sure to like, comment, subscribe, do all that fun stuff. And as we've reiterated a few times here, make sure to go back, look at all the preseason stuff. That stuff's evergreen. It doesn't have to just be right now. You can look in a week to think about what we thought on the Charlotte Hornets, for example. Are they kind of on their win path? It's kind of a time capsule throughout the season to go back and look forward to. And of course, at every point, we'll do like a quarterly check-in to see how our takes are aging and whatnot. That's always fun. Yeah. But it's really this barometer of what we think at this point of the calendar. And it's something that's fun to kind of track throughout the season. But regardless, we have a lot more content for you coming this week, so we don't want to spend too much time on that. But I am X. That is Mike. I am pumped for the next Survivor episode because are we going to go an hour again? Who knows? Are we going to go 2 hours again on the NBA reaction? Who knows? But that's why you guys watch and follow, and we appreciate that so much. So we will be looking forward to seeing you guys next time. Peace.